Hello,
Space,
guys.
the final
The
frontier.
final frontier.
These the
This
boys.
is a live episode of Trekyards without a stringer at the beginning before the credits. The only one. Yay.
Yes, we're going back in time to hopefully, maybe, possibly the most famous of the Star Treks. To go back to sort of where the new age of Star Trek began, because the movies obviously kicked off again.
Final frontier.
But I don't think if TNG had been successful, we wouldn't have had spin off, especially not in the era of TNG. So this is
Mhm.
kind of the start of the next generation, as it is very aptly called.
Yeah, yeah. So, in case you guys don't know, and you should know because you're here,
Yes.
but if you don't know, we are talking about the first two episodes of TNG, Encounter at Farpoint, parts 1 and 2 today. It's basically just one thing, but and we're going to be reviewing all of TNG,
Well,
hopefully.
hopefully.
But yeah, at same style we did with Discovery, point out
hmm
the good and the bad because it's there in everything. Trust us, and it'll be fun to take a look at things. So I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited. Yay, I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I really am. It's gonna be
It's gonna
it's,
be something.
it's gonna be something really good. There's so much to talk about this show, and I've obviously seen TNG multiple times, but there's a difference between watching it and watching it with the Trekyards background and the
Mm-hmm.
sense to try and pull as much information out of the screen as possible. Plus, now we've got the greater universal link. Even so much as how it links to Discovery and Voyager and other TNG. Watching it truly in the context of the franchise rather than what it was meant to be, because that's kind of the fairest thing we can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very, very interesting experience rewatching it today on Blu-ray,
Mm-hmm.
which I got for this. So I actually got the Blu-ray shirt because on sale, or
Mm-hmm.
at least low price. And I watched the
Nice.
promo, the original promo for this, as it was on Blu-ray, and they said watch the 2 hour pilot on the same night. So it was actually released as a one
Yeah.
and then two. So in watching it, you could think, oh, watch one episode, then wait a week, watch episode two. But no, it is actually meant to be watched as.
Yeah.
So I think it's detriment probably.
Yeah, it was a TV like extravaganza. It was a big deal to be back on TV because it was a canceled show from the '60s that was only on the air for 3 years, and then I got kind of rebooted. It was a big deal, and it was new. So, um, but Joseph Petrick puts in €2 and says rewatched
Yay.
yesterday. Troy is pure cringe. LOL. I also rewatched yesterday, and uh, it was rough. It was rough sitting through this. I don't think I've actually watched it front to back in a
Yep.
long time.
Yep.
And like I see parts of it when it's on TV, I might sit and watch a little bit of it or whatever. I had forgotten how how bad
It,
TNG season 1 was.
no, the thing is though is that it's a spectrum, because episodes have some really good bits, but when you watch
There
it like this, you see it as a whole. And I will say, out the gate, the pacing of this episode is really poor. Of the 2 hours, really, really poor, and so that drags it down. There are still really good moments, but the
Plus,
overall feel keeps dragging itself down, which is a shame.
yeah, yeah. Plus, we've got all this rich history of Star Trek now pushing back against this that we're comparing things to in our mind, and it's like because back in the day, I remember watching this when it first came on TV, being super excited about it. I don't know how old I was.
Mm.
It was like 87, I believe.
I think so.
So yeah, I was born in '74, so I wasn't very old at all. But I remember my brothers being excited for it. I was excited for it, seeing the new ship and all this.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting because we didn't have much to compare it to except for TOS and the movies, right?
Yeah.
The few movies that have been released. So it was interesting to see something new and exciting. And now with all this back catalog of Star Trek, which is basically pushing up against our viewing experience, and whether it's in the back of your mind whether you want it to be or not. You can't erase and compare it to all the other Trek. It's like even TNG, like this later seasons, it's like you're comparing everything while you watch it. It's like, oh, it's not
Well,
great.
but I mean, that said, the story is still solid. If it was a better
Yeah.
script, the stories are still solid. And it doesn't break any canon. Like, the episode was very solid in terms of its own, apart from a couple of, like, we'll talk about them, they're more like plot canon things, but it doesn't, like, so, considering they were doing their own universe, it's very, it fits in almost effortlessly into the period of Trek.
Mhm.
So we're not going to get, unlike our Discovery reviews, constant canon mistakes, problems, pushbacks in that respect, because they obviously these guys are forging the road. They're starting fresh, doing new. So it was kind of
Yeah.
nice, just like it was a warm blanket of making sense for the most part. It's more than the internal filmic stuff that was a problem, but also that's a lot of script. And some budget. It's a weird mixed bag, actually. I'll say that. And I did do 3 or so pages of notes, both an actual a gripe, a good thing, a very quick comment, lots of things. I can't read them necessarily, but I have lots of just little thoughts as I watched it.
Yeah, me too.
I watched it in years. Random I saw rude cloth salesman. Didn't say a goddamn word to Beverly. She says, "Can I have this?" And he's just like,
Yeah.
It's like, say yes. Yes, doctor. What a rude dick. Like, seriously. Sorry.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a creepy something's wrong vibe. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, but we already knew that by then. And,
we didn't, though. Not by then. Not really. Before we get on with this, you might want to share this around. While you're doing that, I'll hit the 2 super chats
Awesome.
and then talk about the importance of super chats.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, so UE8472. Ha, the Undine. $2. Best first episode ever? Question mark. I'm gonna say no. I'm really gonna say no. Up to this point, maybe, but anyway.
I think Cage is better. Cage.
Yeah, but it was it wasn't released until the 80s.
Well, Where No Man was also better.
Well, this is true. I guess, yeah.
I think they're both slightly stronger.
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
Ensign Ricky puts in $2. Sup, everyone? Want to see your take on this episode? LOL. Well, I'm glad you're here, Ensign Ricky. Make sure your red shirt's not on because you might not make it through this review. But yeah, we got some interesting stuff to say. I'm sure it'll be fun talking about this. I gotta admit, though, watching it yesterday was rough. It was hard to get through it for me. I'm like, I have to do this. I have to watch this. And about just over halfway through, I'm like, is this over soon? Because I'm kind of getting bored a little bit. As you said, the pacing wasn't great. It's like there's 2 stories here that they're trying to make, and not just the A plot and the B plot and the C plot, the little ones. Like 2 main storylines they're trying to cram into this thing to kind of hook people. And I don't know if they did a successful job. But anyway, there we have it. And Polish Gamer, guys, these people throwing in super chats are great. I'll just talk about the importance of super chats real quick. If you guys want to get your voice heard, there's going to be a lot of stuff flying through the chat that we're going to miss. We apologize. If you want to get your opinion or your question out there, best way to do it is super chat. 'Cause it comes up in a separate little window. We can see it and keep track of it. If we don't get to it right away, don't worry. We see it. We will get to it. But it's the best way to get our attention. Plus, we have moderators in the chat as well, which will be keeping an eye on things. If you have any questions or anything, you can address them directly. They're probably the best people to talk to if you have an issue or anything as well. So that's important. But super chats are super important. And on that note, Polish Gamer puts in £5. I feel this is an episode that shows both the best and worst of this era of Trek. Limitations and ideas are both super apparent in this episode. And that's a good summary. Great ideas, some poor execution, but it was just getting started. It was new. They put a lot of money into it. I know that they've dumped a lot of money into it, and you still have that Gene Roddenberry feel, that Gene Roddenberry veil over everything. That's one of the problems with most of season 1, unfortunately. Some of the weaker episodes were more Gene Roddenberry's. No conflict. Everybody has to get along. Blah blah blah.
And it is worth mentioning, we know a lot about behind the scenes now, that it's been decades. The stories have come out on Discovery, where we do the reviews and we sort of, think things as we go. This was designed to be a 1-hour pilot originally, written by, I believe it was DC Fontana, who had the Farpoint Station story. Great. And then very shortly, relatively for the time, shortly before, they said we want to be a 2-hour pilot. Scramble, and Gene Roddenberry took over the job of rewriting the entire thing to make it a 2-hour pilot, which basically meant including the queue because they needed a lot of time. And that is why, as you said, it feels like 2 stories, because it was literally 1 story with a second story tagged on. And then beyond that, they also obviously had to introduce everyone. So you got basically the 3rd story, which is everyone's individual setup moments, or somewhat, and so it is a disjointed mess in a sense that it is two stories fighting each other, one of which is super galactic in scope, actually does last the entire season, the entire franchise almost. Well, it does until Voyager certainly, and the other one is a one-off that never comes back again. So it's interesting how there's the big scope that obviously we relate to very strongly as being John Delancey and Q, one of the strongest parts of TNG, and then just another story of the week. So yeah, it is actually two stories butting up against each other, and obviously all the character development, all the character setups, and also it actually establishes a lot of the subtext I was surprised about. Can I spoil one thing briefly? I might forget
it's
it.
not a spoiler at this point. Yes, just speak freely, my friend.
I've got images that we always do, which we'll get to in a minute when we start. I just want to say one last thing that I was impressed about, that they also had some ideas about a lot of these different developments. That specifically when Dr. Crusher when Wesley's trying to convince Crusher to let him go to the bridge, they talk about Jack a little bit, and she says great explorers don't want families, and she stops for a split second and has a moment, and in that moment you can tell, there was something between her and Picard that shouldn't have been, and that wasn't referring to her and the husband, but her and Picard. It's like, wow, there's that teeny bit of subtext right. It's one look, but it's perfectly played. I'm like, damn, they had some idea of that right from the start, and I never noticed that. Why would I? So I was very there's some really nice things.
Again, hindsight's 2020. When we go back and watch, season 1 of Discovery or season 2, having it all laid out before us and seen it all, we can appreciate it differently. This is going to be the same thing with this rewatch. We're going to notice a lot of things.
I'm very excited.
Bird of Prey 5 puts in $2. Kapla, sorry I missed you the other night, Captain Foley. That's all right. You were very busy. I want to congratulate Bird of Prey 5 on his 1,800 viewers for his discussion on the last episode of Game of Thrones. That was fantastic. We have not got up that high, so congratulations on that. But well don't worry about missing me. You did see my one message, and that was fine. You acknowledged I was there, so that was awesome. So thank you.
Nice.
And Derek Rankin puts in £5. Regarding the first 3 seasons of TNG, I would recommend watching the documentary Chaos on the Bridge. It's rather amazing that the show made it. I have yet to see that, actually. I went to look for it one night and I couldn't find it, so I haven't seen it.
I'll have to get you a link, because that's the story I'm referencing from the they both had to write the pilots as from that.
Okay, well, it'd be good to know that. I should have seen that, and it's been on my list to see, and I did look for it once. I couldn't find it, and then I kind of forgot about it. So, yeah, it's definitely one I need to see.
Okay.
And David Bessig puts in $10.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Captain, the visual aesthetics of Trek is contentious these days. Back then, when this came out, there was a new TNG look compared to TOS and TMP, as contentious as the updates seen in Disco, JJ, and even Enterprise. Yes.
But unlike all of those, this made sense. It was just the future.
It was the future of the future.
It really is that easy. But Stuart, let's start with the start. So I've got images of everything. This is off the remastered, obviously. You start with I will say a lot of titles, because there was the actual title sequence, then there was titles, and then there was the ship. So I was like, a lot of titles. Felt like the motion picture was just like 2 minutes of opening text, and it's like, yep.
Before we jump in, though, there was a super chat that didn't go through apparently, but it's Jill. It's our one of our regulars.
Yes, hi,
Jill. And she said, hold on here. This is why the moderators are good, because they talk to me on a separate chat here. Was Geordi in pain with his visor through the series? Through the first few seasons, yes. They actually refer to it a few times in some episodes. So, yes, it is an ongoing thing for a while. I think by season 3 or 4, it's totally not even acknowledged anymore, so I assume it's been corrected.
So the radiation from engineering that heals him because he's in engineering now.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, so sorry, Jill, your super chat was charged to her, but it didn't go through apparently. So thank you for getting in touch with the moderators. But yes,
thanks for coming.
Even Jill messaged me earlier today and said, slugging through this was rough, but I'm doing it for moral support, guys. So thank you very much, Jill.
Appreciate it. But yeah, what do you think of the start then? So there's a distinct sort of start.
Well, first of all, it should be said there's no stringer leading into it. It's just credits. So there's nothing that's like
credits at the end.
Yeah, that's the only one to do that. Besides even TOS had the stringers at the beginning. But anyway, I thought it was a lot of annoying credits at the start, because after the main intro was done, then it's like a movie where it's like credits. It's like Star Trek 6 almost. Yeah.
Again.
Dun, 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 dun. It's all like Star Trek 6 waiting through those credits. It's like, oh. So, but then beautiful shot of the Enterprise right off the hop. So that was a great way to start. For the ship, guys, here we are.
Well, and obviously, most people, if you hadn't got the magazine, then you wouldn't know what the ship looked like. So therefore, there's a tile sequence, which is a beautiful tile sequence. Give them all credit, that was always beautiful. And then you get this really glorious shot, this very long shot, and obviously at the time that would have been like, here is your new hero, take it in. So there's a beauty instantly, and then you get the establishment of our captain with some damn good lighting, some damn dark lighting, which is a weird tonal thing. It's like, look, he's evil. No, it's a weird thing to start with. They do try a lot in the lighting in this. There's distinct places that they do are trying. There's a lot of effort in this pilot. I'll give them that. They're not taking half-assed for a lot of these things. It comes to lighting and some camera angles. It's one of those sort of iconic, weird starts.
Yeah, and this is where you get the thing about the new Enterprise and blah blah blah, and we're going to be visiting Deneb 4, and then the large unexplored expanse beyond. It's like, okay, so they're pushing that TOS thing to explore strange new worlds and the unexplored, which is great. So that's all in that opening monologue. So.
And then we get this really odd handheld very shaky go around engineering. It's really odd the rest of the show. I mean, it's great for budgets. Like, damn, look at the set. But it's like, right, quick, get a camera, go. It's really like not the TNG style, and it kind of stands out as a. There's 3 of these, I believe, in the entire. There's 3 of these little weird handhelds. It's just like, okay.
And it should be pointed out, scant, the man skirt.
Yes.
Can't stand it. Glad it went away. Wouldn't wear it. Sorry, guys.
Maybe they're all Scottish.
Maybe that legit. Ensign Ricky puts in $2. Leonard Maslish. Most people have no clue about him.
Yes, the lawyer that messed around.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And Man NG puts in $1.99 and says, I did not like Picard in the first season. I don't think a lot of people liked the Picard in the first season. And that's why in the first few seasons, I guess, because when Best of Both Worlds came around, he was like, wasn't sure if he was coming back, or if they were going to actually renew his character. So he didn't even know.
Okay, but there's a great summary thing. What do you actually think of Picard? When we start with Picard, it's very much Picard focused. What do you think of Picard in this entire hour and a half movie pilot? What do you think?
As his character as a whole in this?
Yeah. What was your take watching it again for the first time?
He seemed like a bit of an asshole, I guess is the best. He kind of reminds me of Jellicoe a little bit. He's a little bit too stern, especially with the whole kid situation, kids on the bridge. The way he eventually talks to Riker saying, are you going to move from that position and blah, blah, blah. He just comes across a little bit of a hard ass. There's still a lot of work to be done there, but I didn't really like him this much in this episode, to be fair.
I think I think one of the standouts is Picard in this episode, Patrick Stewart. I think he kind of makes it a lot because his acting is really solid. He does carry it a lot. He's the strongest personality in the entire piece, and he's really good in a lot of the scenes. But I think this is where the 2 writers comes in, because in the Farpoint story, he kind of acts one way, and the Q story acts a little bit different. He does these weird tonal shifts between going from actually quite jovial and playing and smiling in some moments to then suddenly grumpy old man hardass on a dime. And when you watch it as a thing, I saw he is the entire spectrum from being professional, evil, and I was like, this is an inconsistent writing. He's not all these things in one go, and yet I think that's just the writers didn't flatten out what they were going with it, because he's genuinely nice. I mean, look at how he's a bit of a bitch to Riker at the start, but then they have a really great moment. And it's like such a nice feel, and Riker's so happy. And then he swaps again, and then he's nice. He's very inconsistent. I think it's like faulty of the thing. But as an actor, when he was all the stuff for the trial, he's really solid. He's very Picard.
Well, yeah.
But then he has dime shifts that are so out of left field.
Well, that's the writers getting their fingers in there, not knowing what they want to do with him yet.
Yeah.
Which direction they want to take him specifically. And I think we see that a lot of that dragged through season 1, unfortunately, with his character. I think it only starts to kind of solidify during season 2, and then from then on, it's pretty good.
I mean, do you back me up on that? Did you see the same? Do you kind of felt yeah, cool. Because I think he was really good in it. Like, considering where we start, he was definitely one of the best bits of this episode. And Patrick's acting was like you can tell why he got the part. His hands above the best actor in this piece, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
So good for him.
It's Patrick Stewart, man.
He is.
Derek Rankin puts in £2 and says,
"Thank you.
It's a kilt, not a skirt. Damn it." That's fine. Should have some kind of plaid on it though, even if it's just a trim. But anyway,
space trim.
Josh Moses puts in $2.
Thank you.
The best show was when Riker versus the Lady Commander. That was best of both worlds. The Commander Shelby, I think you're talking about. Yeah. Which, we'll get to that when we get there. Jeff Jacobs puts in $5.
Thank
I was only going to do 3, but went to 5 for Jill. So, yay, 50 likes. I will go again at 100. 154 people watching now, so that should be easy. Hashtag like spike. I agree. Everybody hit like. Do that while I'm reading the next 2 super chats. Matthew DeFleetus puts in $5. I don't see no points on your ears, boy, but you sound like a Vulcan. Leonard McCoy, best line, respect, rest in peace to Forrest Kelly. Yes. It was good seeing him for sure. I love how each series has something to start it off with as kind of a tie into another series until Discovery. Polish Gamer puts in £5. I like the idea of the scant. It's a great way to show the equality, but it looks dumb. I think a gown-like design rather than a skirt would have been better. A gown-like. I don't know about that.
Don't know.
Yeah. And when you don't have a screenshot of it, but I noticed one thing on the bridge here. The door going back to the conference room is open. There's no doors on it when they first goes on the bridge, and then later it's closed. It's like they just left them open. I mean, to air it out, maybe they just finished painting because it's a brand new ship. So that conference room table is covered in varnish. Keep those doors open. I don't know, but it's just something I noticed, and it didn't get a screenshot of it, unfortunately. But that's all right.
So there's this first scene then of the exposition. You get to see the bridge from his eyes, and then you introduce Data straight away. You have a very data scene. Brent in this scene nails him instantly. And a good little engagement. And this is when again Picard's humouring him. He's being a little bit playful. The tonal shifts are a little bit whatever, and then he goes straight into Troi, who we haven't set up yet.
Well, before we move to Troi,
yes.
Let's get that picture of Data standing there by the chair.
Yes.
Did you notice the carpet underneath the chair?
Yes.
I noticed a lot of things like this with the high def. You can definitely tell that there's a lot of things are wood. They're painted. Some are actually already kind of iffy. But yeah, that's not there later when you see the chairs. So there's something with the carpet there that was going on.
Someone spilled a drink. Someone spilled a Starbucks. I like Game of Thrones.
Maybe.
I said exposition scene here is a little bit lol, like how forcibly they're expositing, whatever.
Oh, later there's a huge exposition dump. Hi, here's Geordi.
Yes.
Does this still hurt? Oh yeah, well.
Life story.
Blah 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 about the visor that I've said 1,000 times. I just had to exposition dump that all over you, Doctor, because you don't already know that. Like really? Yeah. That was really irritating.
Know about on your patience. That's anyway. But we go instant jeopardy was what I wrote. Instant
jeopardy.
Literally, there's no setup, like emotionally. It's just like, and something happens. It's like, oh, okay, something.
But something's on the detector circuit, sir. What the hell is the detector circuit, and why did Gene Roddenberry have such an obsession with the word circuit? In the cage, Spock's like yelling across the bridge, "Close the circuit!" It's like, all right, well, circuit's a fancy word in the 60s maybe, but god damn it, stop it. And I'm glad they stopped it because it really bothers me. The detector circuit. The sensors? Is that what you're talking about? I think that's what you're talking about. So say that, please.
Yes.
We got to make fancy space talk so that these people are qualified to be on this ship.
Yes, best of the best. Best of the best.
Sorry, go ahead. Danger.
Yeah. Yep, instant danger, instant everything, and then Q appears within the first like 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Wait, speak.
Oh, hold on,
Are you still there?
hold on,
You're frozen. Am I back? Am I back?
hold
Am I
on.
back? Am I back? Am I back? Am I back? Am
Your voice is,
I
but your
back? Am I
face
back? Am I
isn't.
back? Am I back? Oh, well, that's okay. They don't need to see my face. Hi. Hi.
Turn the video off, Stuart, and back on again. As is the
No,
way. Okay. As
I'll
the
do that.
way.
Hold on. There.
Okay.
It's off. It's on. Dun dun dun.
Hey, go for it.
All right. So something else that bothered me about Picard at that point was someone shut off that damn noise for red alert. It's like, all right. Yeah, sure, you're kind of aggravated, I guess, maybe, but you've been a captain for how long? This is nothing new.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little bit out of character. He was in a good mood before that. Yeah, he wasn't irritated. If we were irritated beforehand, then yes, I can understand that.
Well,
but
maybe he's getting PTSD from Stargazer when he kept hearing the sirens and his crew's dying in flames around him, and he hasn't had a command since, and he's like, "Shut up, those down!" But yes,
this is my first red alert since the incident. Oh my god, PTSD.
but it's true. It's like, dude, this is the alarm for the crew. This is important. Calm down. And then Q appears, and we have instant fun and games and very poorly jetted smoke, ice particles. Which it's like you can just feel the fire extinguishers like with a special mixture, one frame out of camera.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, that is Lieutenant Taurus.
Yes.
Related to B'Elanna Torres or related to our one administrator, Joe Torres, who I believe is here right now, actually. So, Joe, you got a family member in TNG.
Yes, I think there's a canon connection there. Canon connection.
Right.
But I love this shot of him being frozen because you see the window, you see the top bridge. Like, this is a 360 set. And there's a lot of every single set is 360 in this episode, and they really use that for good angles. I mean, TOS obviously are limited very specifically to a height level.
Yep.
Even the movies is a bit more, but it's still quite limited. In this, it is so flexible. They don't necessarily use full advantage, but the shot choice is pretty varied considering, and you do get a lot of ceiling, and that's commendable because it's a big expensive bridge. Oh, and that's one thing I wrote early on. Art design flawless. Like, instantly, this is a good film bridge. It feels high-tech, big budget. They put money in, and it really shows for this bridge.
I would agree. Then we get Q going through all the different uniforms and changing his speech patterns to do that. I thought he was an American redneck. Well, not a redneck, but, military man from the 60s, get those commies. Which was great. And then, of course, the costume for the World War III trial things. I don't know. The soldiers that are addicted to some kind of... The early Jem'Hadar is what it is. Earth's version of Jem'Hadar. Little army thing. It says army on it. And
I like it in concept. I never noticed, because, again, I've never actually seen this in high def, that they give John Delancey quite a lot of, like, I look addicted to drugs makeup. Like, he's actually pretty... I mean, he's... that's the one close we get of him, and he's actually quite a lot of effort in that, so I really like that look. And he's a lot of fun. I mean, he's very himself. He nails it straight away, although he's just kind of exuberance is his personality. And this is when I wrote down, in this shot you see, Worf and Tasha and him. Slightly earlier on, Worf says, should we basically fire upon it? And she's like, recommend we go to tactical. And I'm like, wow, Worf said that line so much better than you did. He showed more character in that one line than did the entire episode. Tasha is so non-character in this episode. Worf has more character and less lines than Tasha does. So much more. It's like they knew they didn't care about Tasha already. You know what I mean? It's bizarre to rewatch it, how just plain she is. There's nothing to that. They didn't
both her and Troi just did not impress me in this episode.
No.
Troi was like, why are you saying lines? To validate the fact you're on the bridge.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, and they, as you said earlier, they didn't establish anything about her necessarily until later. And it's like,
well,
what is going on?
At least she's theoretically crucial to the piece. It's just, it's so inorganic. Like, if she was slightly older, more professional, could be like, Captain, I sense something rather than just there's a level of this is not engaging versus professionalism. To get to this point is quite an achievement. She's the counselor aboard the flagship. You should be pretty hefty, but I mean, what do they call her? The cheerleader with that skirt and hairdo. Like she doesn't portray the needed qualification to be on this ship. Well, to be fair, neither does Tasha. Where the hell is Tasha chief security on the flagship?
Well,
where the hell
it's
is
funny
she?
because Robert Hayes just said, "Don't be mean to Tasha. She had to run away from rape gangs." Yeah, and I'm surprised we didn't hear about the rape gangs because later, literally every 5 minutes, oh, there were rape gangs on my planet. In one of the episodes specifically, but almost every episode it's mentioned. Okay, we get it. But yeah, it's interesting. I never liked Tasha. I want to put that out there from the beginning. So there you go. Never liked Tasha.
And then after the Q disappears, and basically, we'll come and get you again later. Worf goes to engineering, and then leaves, and it's like, oh, that was an unnecessary 58 seconds of unneeded cutaway. Both these episodes have a tendency to cut away from plot to random scene number 6, number 8, number 12. And while they have greater context, basically they filmed like 15 character scenes and they just said, oh, we can put one here. Oh, we can put one here. Where it doesn't interfere too much. But they're not organically anywhere. There's some later on they're awful. It's just that you gotta cut half of them and really refine the pace.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And yeah, I do know what you mean. And I want to apologize to everybody. Somebody's already been commented on it. I apologize for wearing a disco shirt. I didn't even think of that when I put it on this morning. I should have had something more TNG for this one. I apologize. But we have a super chat from Joseph Petrick, €2. I can't send the first curse word by Picard, F YouTube. And that would be merde. He says shit, I believe, in French.
Oh, fun.
Which I just said now, so screw YouTube.
And Necro Globule says, it's not Denise's fault you don't like Tasha. They were all insufferable in those first couple of years. See, I like Denise Crosby just fine. I've seen lots of stuff with her, like her just fine, But it's the character. Just like lots of other characters are, Lena Headey, who plays Cersei on Game of Thrones. Character's awful. She's lovely.
Yeah.
That's good acting. But she was given a lot to do, so.
Yeah, I never liked Tasha. So. But I'll blame whoever is responsible. Anyway, so then all of a sudden it's like, oh, time for a saucer separation.
Well, we're not.
First of all, they speed away. Sorry.
Which doesn't make much sense because if they're in I guess Q just put one wall in front of them and then they warp away backward, like
that was the thing.
Came,
yeah.
And then it goes. Then the cage becomes a sphere, which implies it's in a sphere. And later on, it gets caught in a sphere. And there's this moronic chase where look, they're chasing at warp 9.8. It's like you understand. I mean, also we don't understand yet, but this is Q. He can go anywhere instantly. Q is not chasing you at warp 9.8.
Yeah, this was an odd thing. Yes.
This completely breaks down as a scene. It's probably the worst chase of TNG because there's nothing about it makes sense. That's because we know Q is what he is. But at this point, obviously, he's just an alien.
Unless he's doing it to scare them, to intimidate them.
It's all a game. It has to be. I mean, there's nothing else here.
Yeah.
How is a cage a cage if it's only in one dimension? It's like just go up.
Yeah,
very stupid.
When he froze Torres, he didn't see it through the skylight. So
sure.
But yeah, this is where we get some technical specifications. Like, warp 9.3, we're already past the red line.
Yes.
So that's already established.
Yep.
We get up to 9.4, and then of course it starts overtaking them. So we kind of have that established early on that the red line is at least 9.2. Yeah. Around there. So that's really good.
Although they do imply they can go up to warp 9.5 with extreme risk.
Yes.
And just makes you laugh that then Spore Drive exists 100 years earlier when you can get anywhere, and 9.3 is extreme risk. Just makes you laugh a little bit is what I wrote. And another little making sense. So the things go up 9.8. We know that the 9.5 to 9.8 is a massive difference. That's a lot of speed. And yet they're only about, 30 seconds ahead of the cue ball. And yet it takes the cue ball at least 5 minutes to catch up to them.
What are we playing, pool?
Yes, pretty much. At a higher speed. This entire chase needs to have been cut. It doesn't work at all. And it's tension with zero tension. It's really
The only reason it's there is to establish that the ship can saucer separate. And we got to save the families. That's the only reason it's here. And everybody's saying in the chat that the Q's just toying with them to kind of test them.
Sure.
And I totally get that. Well, that's what we were said from the beginning here. But
but I don't know if they knew he was all powerful yet, because there's no indication of that exactly yet.
Yeah. Oh, there definitely isn't. I don't think the writers knew that he was all powerful yet.
No.
But yeah, I mean, this was an interesting scene. But the only reason that chase scene was there was to establish, okay, this ship, because it has families on it, we can keep the family safe by saucer separation, which is something they originally intended to do a lot more often. But just the time it took for all the sequence to happen and all that, they decided not to do it very often. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them. They do it a few times in season 1 to kind of establish, hey, this is a thing. And then it's almost like never done again. Which is fine. It's fine. It's new tech. It was really cool to see that finally on screen, because having been a Star Trek fan, waiting for new Star Trek, getting this on the air and having heard whispers and rumors that the original Enterprise could saucer separate and, the saucer could possibly land and all that. It's like, oh, this kind of confirmed it that, that was an emergency situation thing back then. But now it's just standard practice for these ships to be able to do it and reconnect without the help of the starbase. I mean, so this was kind of cool to see the first time, but it's kind of unneeded. It's very much in establishing that the ship can do this and keep families safe. Because I think that's one of the big things that people complained about early on was, why are there families on a ship that's going to explore the unknown? It's dangerous. Well, we can keep them safe by putting them in the saucer section. Here, Worf, you command the saucer section. We're going to go in with the battle section. So that's why that's there.
And now the scene ages very poorly because, again, they're being chased by a ship which is catching up to you, and they take a long time. And the fact that everyone's so careful, they should have already caught up to you by now anyway, and the entire idea doesn't make sense. And again, this is because we know the canon. The source section cannot be at warp. It can sustain warp, but it can't be at warp. Yes, you're at 9.3 with a few seconds head start, but as soon as you depart, the source section slows down progressively, right? So therefore, once it stops, it's now stranded in deep space. Literally. And if the Q entity then wanted to just meet up with it and destroy it, it would be easier now because it's literally going at impulse. It's now more vulnerable than the battle bridge. And the battle bridge, as we see in a minute, it catches up to it, again, doesn't quite connect chase-wise. It's like, we surrender. And obviously time doesn't pass because Q takes them out of time. And then the star drive gets to the planet first, and the star drive gets there after. I guess it travels 3 days at impulse, or I guess because that's in the solar system of the planet. So they were literally seconds away at warp from the planet. Basically, they don't know how fast these things go yet. Don't know it can't go at warp, but the whole scene breaks down because it's not a good escape plan. The ship can't escape. You've just killed your entire civilian crew at saving them 10 seconds, and 10 seconds isn't worth anything when you go at warp. It's a really stupid plan that you should know better.
Yeah, well, it's a flaw to have the thing with all the families on it. A lifeboat, essentially, only be impulse powered. It can go to full impulse, but if you dump it in the middle of nowhere, if an enemy's smart enough, they're going to send other ships to that, and then it's that totally it's not defenseless. It's got a lot of phasers and stuff, but still,
it is against the Q ship, the Q ball. So it's just in retrospect, it's a absolutely awful plan that doesn't at all, and also they fired half torpedoes, right? To blind.
How many?
As many as they want.
They fired a lot of torpedoes. I kind of lost count.
But Stuart, to blind Q's sensors.
Well, they didn't know it's not a ship.
I know, but again, watching in retrospect is this is laughable. That they think it worked, and think how far those torpedoes have gone in the time it's taking to do separation, then explode. The scene doesn't really work. Although that said, the star drive section looks super cool at warp. The look of the star drive is I really like it. It's by itself.
Cobra head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look really fantastic. Speaking of looking fantastic, what about
Oh,
that battle bridge? That is
it's
a
great.
reuse. That is a reuse of the Enterprise bridge from the movies.
It's good.
And yeah, it's very old school. It
Yeah.
tied things in. It tied things in with the movies that were happening at the time,
Yep.
and really gave a sense of, okay, this is where the business happens. The upstairs bridge, the Hilton, is the lounge. That's why it
Yeah.
looks like that, because it's the future and the family's on board and everything's hunky dory. But when you gets down to business, the nitty gritty, we got the old school, more military style
Yeah.
ship design, and I think that came across really well with the way they did that.
Mhm.
Although I hated the size of the viewer,
Yes.
which he calls it a viewer later, the view screen. Sorry, not the window. It's not a window, just so you know. But yeah, it's really small. It is very small, and I don't know why the reason for it being so small.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's a great reuse. It adds a lot of budget. The lighting's awesome. That really like such a simple thing of having a really strong red alert and it gets such good accenting. Yeah, it and given how much actually time spends in this set, it's very effective. Although putting Troi in a place where she has to relay information is a bit laughable. Like you're a counselor with very limited qualification, and here I'm. They had to put people in positions, but then
Because she hasn't even taken the command training program yet, because she does that in like the latest, like season 6. But yeah, it is totally laughable. There's more qualified people on board for that, for sure.
Although on the reverse, Miles O'Brien, literally from the start of the start,
Yep.
and he
Yep.
earned his way into a full-time 7-year career on a separate show. What a lad to do that. That's
Yep.
purely on his ability, so well on him.
Yeah, I put that in the notes here. O'Brien is there since the beginning.
Yeah.
Later, he shows up in the transporter room, just kind of standing around, the old transporter Chief O'Brien comic jokes, but still, it was really fantastically done. And the fact that we didn't see this battle bridge, I think we saw it 1 or 2 more times at the most.
Yeah, best of
Definitely
both
one more
worlds,
time.
and that's probably it actually.
Yeah, I think definitely 1 more time, maybe 2, but I really don't think so. I think it's 1 more.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a shame.
Yes.
I would have liked to see more of it, and I would have liked to see the sausage separation be more of a thing to protect families, because there were so many episodes where that could have been totally practical. Leave it by a starbase or in orbit of a planet and go deal with the situation. But
Yeah. Well, and not just that, they could have started an episode with it just star drive and say we've had to drop our civilians off at a planet in orbit to take on this threat, and here goes a star drive. Like, there you go. You don't need to do the expensive source separation. That's fine. You've got a new field with the other ship moving, and you can do new VFX with the 4-foot. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That would have been really good, actually. But then again, since this was a redress, they'd have to redressed it down from the movie set into this set each time, and that's quite a, that would have been like it would have to be really around this. But I mean, it was used as Stargaze and all the other things. So it was reused as a set often, just not as this.
Yeah, no, I get the reason that wasn't done. I wish it would have been more of a thing.
Last night on source separation, the music is way too action. It's insisting you feel epic when really it's very plain.
Yeah.
I know it's again, we're watching it as a standing on its own. It's cool, but it's way too action music for what it entails. It's literally the hero song of the show. It's just way too much.
Like great music going on. It's just so slow, like
the best thing you've ever seen. It's just too much. It's 30%, 40% too powerful for the scene.
It is. Again, I think they probably intended to use that action music more often. I don't think they really do, though. Kind of a standalone for this episode, but
yeah, let's move on to that scene.
Yeah, me too. So now it's time to move on to the court.
Oh yeah,
2079.
Sorry, and Tasha tries to say we should fire, and Picard's like, "So what's your idea then? Shut up." She's like, "Sorry, sir, no idea." It's like, Jesus Christ, calm down, guys. Why was that needed? Okay.
Yeah.
But she got lines, so. But yes, the courtroom. Ooh.
The court is one of the standard courts, international courts, I guess, of 2079.
Not
something we can look.
Not 36. No, not the Human Rights 36. No.
Something we can look forward to in the future, guys. And it's pretty interesting. The characters there, a lot of old, elderly, sick.
Yeah.
It's like nobody looks healthy. It's just, oh, what the hell is going on? I know. I don't know. I don't want to say anything. Never mind. What are your thoughts on the courtroom scene?
It was great until it went on too long.
Which it did very quickly.
Well, yeah, because it's really intriguing. It's genuinely very intriguing, and it keeps going and it keeps going, and then you just genuinely get a bit bored, and that's really a problem. It needed like 20% less, 30% less, and that's a shame because it's a really good. Like the set's great, the actors are great, Q's great, Picard's great, Data's great, Tasha's stunt double is great. Who does the kick?
Yeah.
Blatant stunt double.
Yeah.
Like she's great.
Yeah. And despite all that happens here, I didn't take many notes. Interestingly enough, I tried watching this originally on Netflix because they have the remastered on Netflix. I thought I would just throw it on because I was upstairs.
Yeah.
Whatever. But because Rogers is messing with our internet and installing fiber lines down the street, it was like the internet's been really bad lately, and it was cutting out, and it's like, oh, for Christ's sakes! I grabbed my DVDs.
Oh.
So I watched this in DVD quality, which
on a big ass TV.
Which is ridiculous. I didn't know that there was that much of a difference, but man, the scenes in the courtroom with Picard, very, very dark in the upper left-hand corner of the screen for some of the shots. It's like the camera was almost obscured by something. Yeah. And it looks atrocious. I mean, even when it's on Space Channel, they do the remastered, so you see the high definition, right? So that's what I'm so used to now. Do not watch this on DVD. I don't even know why I still have the DVDs. I bought them for Sylvia years ago before the Blu-rays came out, and
so I watched it on a 4K TV with the upres Blu-ray, and it was good, fine. But yeah, there's a weird close-up of Picard where it's vignetted.
Yeah.
Literally that top, and it's a broken shot. It is a shot that I think it's either a reshoot, because it's completely out of context in terms of, it's just, you know what I mean. But yeah, they wrongly filmed it. It's really, really bad, like surprisingly bad. And
it's like maybe it's supposed to be one of the people in the third row that is half blind. It's like looking at them like this because they all look sickly, like I said. So they're all like.
But speaking of blind, we've been blind to the chat for a few minutes. So Stuart, I think we have 3 super chats starting post game. But thanks, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying. Comment now. We'll talk to you for a few seconds, and please super chat and we'll respond. Stuart, go for it.
Yes, sir. Polish Gamer puts in £5. It's so weird for me to see O'Brien in TNG again after DS9. He looks weird in red now, and he gets like no lines this early on. That being said, he did get a few lines in this, so you know, somebody watching it the first. Yeah, somebody watching it the first time, you're like, oh, I'll never see this guy again. And then, I think I recognize him later. And then all of a sudden, Deep Space Nine, it's like, and knowing the whole backlog of Star Trek now, it's like, damn, son, you got a long way. So congratulations. David Bessig puts in $2.
Thank you, David.
Why is the court so barbaric post First Contact? Because if you look at First Contact, they're even dressed similarly. It's because of World War III had happened, so resources were not allocated, very well. There were small pockets of humanity. But yeah, the court does kind of bother me a little bit.
Well, the court is inside society, whereas Cochrane was outside society. He had his own compound. So I'm assuming he was just one of the, sub people in the post-apocalyptic. Yeah, and therefore they managed to make a decent little society. These are the quote-unquote scum. I was going to say scrum, but like the scum of... I mean, it's a political point that Q's making. This is what humanity was boiled down to.
Yeah.
This is the dark you were at. And obviously Cochrane didn't seem to be afraid of people shooting machine guns on their hand. This was like, in the cities where everyone was having a
when they see the thing in orbit, they're like, what's that? It's the ETA! And it's firing at them over the Borg sphere. So it's like... it still had that sense of foreboding at that time as well. So, there's definitely sketchy stuff going on.
And I did like that the guy shot the guy and had a drug, and the guy... It's actually a good texture. Like, it's weird, but it's kind of interesting. And I've read a book called Federation, where it's takes place in 3 timelines, and it incorporates a big chunk with Cochrane in this timeline. So I've like, in my mind, is a lot more fleshed out of that period, and it's actually quite interesting. So yeah, but
but I could definitely see a Jem'Hadar soldier doing the same thing like taking one last shot of Ketracel White before he gets assassinated by another Jem'Hadar. That's the first thing I thought when I saw these guys. They're just early Jem'Hadar concept.
Yeah.
Eugene puts in 750 rubles.
Thank you, sir.
And sells Ketracel White 0.5. Yes. Great segue into that super chat. I didn't even look at it before that, but that's funny. So, yes. Pepsi Crystal Pepsi is what.
Yes. Now, what do you think of the Tasha focus here? That she basically goes on this big tirade, sort of out of nowhere, and then gets frozen and then unfrozen. Now, what do you think about her?
That's her. They're trying to establish her being a strong character, which wasn't necessary because we know in the future she would be. But of course, they have to show that being when it was filmed in the 80s, I guess. So yeah, it's her being, look, and I lived through all this, and wow, I thought it was annoying, but I didn't need it. And later, yeah, as literally I say every 5 minutes, hey, I was rape gangs, don't you know? I was chased by them. I survived that shit. It's like, really, we don't care. Just say it once. We're done. Thanks.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere, and it's like, if you are at this position on the flagship, chief security, you need to be better be damn good at your job, and you are not in this episode. You do not. She's not doing her ship justice, and that's a shame. Crusher, on the other hand, is a great, strong woman mother in the episode. She balances it super well, without trying. You know what I mean?
She stands up to the captain a few times, yeah.
Yeah, and it is it's super well balanced. You know, this is the opposite of that, unfortunately. So next scene, this is the trial. Now testing. It's again, it goes a long time. Blah blah blah. We're gonna be tested now, and then they get back on the Enterprise D, and then they're like, "Where are we going?" And Brian's just casually like, "Oh, back to the planet that we've got a course to." And I'm like, "You never had a course to it. You're on the battle bridge. Do you not remember Q? What's gone on?" And he doesn't give a shit. He's not even looking at him. It's like, "Sir, where did you go? What do you mean? We're waiting for the dude that's coming to attack us." Like, there's a time skip. It's
like his memory was almost erased by Q.
Yeah. Because
it seems really unnatural. Why hell would he be on the battle bridge? Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing. But it was to indicate that whole court thing was only experienced by those ones, and it was like almost instantaneous. That's what they were trying to convey there, to show the power of the Q, I think.
But then you would say, "Sir, the ship is no longer coming after us," because they didn't say a course to the place. So that need to be cut as well. That didn't work. It's a really weird jump cut for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right, we finally get to Farpoint, Stuart.
We do, and we get to talk to what the hell is his name here? I wrote it down. Grappler Zorn. Is his name Grappler? Because I think it's Grappler, even though it's probably not Grappler. But he sounds like a wrestler. Grappler Zorn. And Zorn was a game back in the 90s.
Yes.
A computer game. But anyway, so Grappler Zorn has a sketchy office and dresses like a hobo. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
That's fruit, though. Fruit for days.
Yeah. And even some magic fruit. No, I'd really like an apple. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's no. It's like, all right. Yep. Okay. Shh. Don't let them know. Don't do that. I'm going to scold you. It's like, are you talking to Q? Because
yeah, I hadn't thought that. That's interesting.
Nobody knew what was going on at the time. So we thought Q, of course, was involved with all this.
Interesting.
Stuff appearing out of nowhere. But no, totally unrelated. Groppler, I guess.
Oh, man.
I call him Grappler because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, this is when I think it takes a little nosedive.
A little.
And I also had a note. It was 30 minutes to this point.
Yeah.
Feels longer.
It did. Like I said, at one point I was like, is this almost over? Because I'm bored. It's just rough.
The thing is, when you watch as 2 episodes, you haven't got episode split. I feel like it needs to be watched and that episode wait a few hours and then part 2. The continuous nature does not do it justice. It drags.
It needs some re-editing, some reshuffling, I think, would definitely help this.
Or just refilming this entire bit, because his office is garbage set design. Going from the courtroom was great, and the Enterprise D was great. This is a garbage set design. Having now rewatched it, it's meant to show you that they are in hovels with nothing. So when you see the space station, despite it being on a planet, not in space, therefore not a space station, you idiots, call it a
outpost,
outpost,
which is what it was.
Idiots. That pissed me off several times. It's like it's not a cloaking device. It's a cloaking and invisibility screen. Shut up. So I guess they're trying to say, you know, he's got a crap space and the space station looks great, but then all you see is that one like auditorium, and that doesn't reflect the space station, because then they go into it later. It's like the hidden catacombs, so you never get a sense of what the space station feels like. So you look at his office and you think that's just the society. It's a really
I do like the mystery though of the Bandai city, that's all wooden shacks and huts and just decrepit, and then the design the space station. That's the whole reason that they're there, the station, to meet the Federation's whatever. And the Federation's curious as to how they managed to do that without improving their own society first. So the mystery, it kind of gets lost. It's mentioned, but it's not really. I felt it got lost a little bit. But I remember until this viewing, I really didn't focus too much on it. So I was looking for more in-depth stuff here. Yeah. So the first couple times I watched it, I didn't put two and two together really with how the correlation, especially when you see the screenshot where they're side by side. Yeah. It's like, damn. And I think that might be because of the high-res remastered version of it, as opposed to the original, because I think originally it just looked like rocks.
Yes.
Because it was just crap.
They're really small. I mean, it's a nice either matte painting or set, model. Especially there's some really good angles of it, but they didn't do enough.
There's a model in Grappler's office.
Yes. Yeah.
Which they might have used.
It's the same.
I'm just saying.
That's really funny, but they didn't do enough to show us both worlds.
What is this, a space station for ants?
Yeah.
Sorry, had to throw that in. Continue.
Yeah. This is where the budget is kind of visible. The TNG core stuff is really good. The side story is actually lets you down in so many areas in terms of the sets and budget feel, that then you spend so much time with the early stuff, which is the Gene Roddenberry Q stuff, that pretty much works. And this stuff, despite it should have been one full episode worth of budget, it doesn't feel right. It's I think if you just had that episode, it would have felt like a relatively lowish, like medium low budget episode. So it's a bit weird. But the mystery, like I say, is good. The space story is good. The execution doesn't work fully. The story's interesting and the mystery's interesting, but just not.
Well, the whole thing, going back to what you talked about with budget, the budget went into the sets initially. You know, later they could definitely focus more. So, I don't know. Anyway, Jeff Jacobs puts in $3 and says, "Nice, 100 likes. We'll pay again at 150 likes. Hashtag like spike. Hashtag TNG like spike. Should be." Yes. Anyway, what am I next?
I believe they never called it a space station. No, I watched it 3 hours ago. They called it space station multiple times.
Yeah. And then we get the whole fabric. This would be great with gold. But boom, boom, and it's like sketchy stuff going on. And Riker's like, "See, I told you so."
This bit's great. It's fun. It's light. Wesley's, I think, is pretty good in this scene. He's not really in your face. He's just there.
True. Yeah. Okay.
And he's fine. And as a 3, actually, I wish they'd done more of those 3 actors, because they actually had some decent chemistry as a 3. Like,
yeah, as they were walking, I thought, are they hinting that maybe there's going to be something between these guys going on? Because that'd be cool. Riker kind of, being a mentor or a father figure to Wesley.
That was really hinted. Yeah.
Going after Crusher, and then it kind of fizzles out really quick. I mean, it would have been a very interesting story thread, to be fair, considering he's the first officer of Picard who already had a relationship with Beverly. Yeah. It would have made for really dynamic storytelling, but it kind of goes nowhere. But in this scene, it's like there's a possibility, there's that hint that it could be there's this future relationship.
Well, speaking of, what do you think of Crusher? I mean, this is her introduction. Thoughts?
Nothing specific. Just she seems to be very strong-willed. She is a redhead, after all. And it comes across definitely through this episode a few times, the way she interacts with Picard. She just basically says her mind, And I don't know if it's because of their relation. I think it's a lot based on their previous relationship that she feels she can do that. But definitely the strong female figure for sure, and the mothering figure, I think was done really well. But the way she talks to Picard definitely shows that she doesn't take shit from people, especially people she's been in some kind of relationship with. So I like that dynamic. Actually, it gets addressed a few other times in season 1 for sure. So
I think she was closest to her character. I think I pretty much just saw Crusher. You know,
Yeah.
I thought she kind of knew her straight from the offset. I was kind of like pleased, right? Because Data is mostly there, but there's a few very strange moments. But I thought Crusher was like, yeah, she's kind of just Crusher. I was quite impressed.
Yeah. And Ian Warrender, one of our mods, sent us $10 via PayPal. So thank you very much,
Dude.
Ian. And he says, "Hey guys, got to work tomorrow, but wanted to say that these reviews are perfect for the live format, and I'll catch the rest tomorrow. I thought the planet scenes got lost. Each scene felt too long. Thanks." And I would agree with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ian. Have a good night and a good day tomorrow at work.
Yes. And then you get Geordie's reveal, and I guess also his first meeting with Riker.
Yep. Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Nothing spectacular there. No real thoughts.
Oh, I had a little note about the cloth. I mean, it's cool. I like the play, although they're smart enough people to not like. None of them should buy it for a second. I'm just saying. Like, I was touching it 1 second ago. Now it's different. But the problem is though, you have replicators. If the box is just a replicator, he could just replicate a new version of it now. Like, let's say with the apples. If he's got a replicator on his desk, he just makes more apples. The magic factor is just a replicator. You've got them already. Where is the ultra mega magic value? Do you know what I mean? When you realise what tech you've got, it's not that special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they'd said like, wow, that's exactly the pattern I was thinking of. So it's not just, you know, it becomes what it is. It reads your mind and does it. That's more special. I think that's kind of what they were going for. But it's not as special as you think, Gene Roddenberry, because you've already got the tech in your universe to make this stuff. It's not, you know.
Yeah. Again, not a fleshed out universe yet. So.
No.
So then Riker beams aboard and says some kind of line of dialogue as he walks in the turbo lift, and I made a note of how convenient it is that the turbo lift waits until his line of dialogue is over before it closes the doors, because it's quite a long time. It's like they're already on the turbo lift.
Yeah.
What's it waiting for? It's like, oh, convenience. Awesome.
Dramatic timing.
Oh, Fleet Paw Swiftback puts in $1.99 and says, "Evening, Captain and Commander. Glad I made it. Glad you made it as well.
Evening.
Enjoy. We're having a lot of fun talking about this." So.
Yes, I was excited to anyway, but this has been really good. I mean, that also we're excited. That Transportum set is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's such a small introduction, but it's a really beautiful set. Just the colors and the lighting, just really, really nice.
And the TOS transporter pad on the top. That's the reuse of the original set. So, really fantastically done, guys. Good job. And that's used for Voyager as well.
Yes. Now, then we get one of those weird switch of a dime. Picard doesn't look at Riker. He's quite cold. He's not mean, but he's cold. He's unresponsive. And given that you had to accept his approval, like, you must have picked him, surely. You're the captain of a flagship. You're new. He's new. Like, I mean, what's your take on this entire thing? We'll skip to, you know, he does talk to him in the end, but what's your take on this entire thing with Riker?
I thought it was bad captaining, to be fair. I wouldn't have done that. I would have made a very good point of, yes, I'm in charge, but I'm going to at least acknowledge your goddamn existence. Oh, by the way, here, brush up on what happened. Oh, here, sit in front of this monitor and look at the Cliff Notes versions of what happened with no context. It's like, all right, well, this is fun.
And who edited that?
Like, I don't know where the hell he did that. He did it on the bridge somewhere. It's not really. It looks like he's standing at one point, and he's sitting. It's like, oh my good God, it's really not well done. But yeah, what a shitty captain. Like, yeah, acknowledge you. Yeah, go check out what's happened and the meet me in my ready room. Speaking of, I'm glad they have a ready room on the battle bridge. That's cool. Never ever get to see it again, but it's kind of neat.
And and the way you shoot it is literally they just had shit. We've got no money. Grab that wall, that ceiling, put it together, and we'll do it in zooms. Good, done. It literally is that, but it's great. It actually kind of works well. It's minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
As it would be.
Oh, sorry. What?
As it would be for a battle bridge, it would be very small.
And the one thing I'll give them really a lot of credit for, even if they reuse sets or even the TMP, because they use a TMP set later on, you see a lot of the Enterprise D in this episode, like a ton of it. From the first episode, they have a lot built. Maybe not all realized, but they really designed it and put it in. That's like I said, where a lot of the money went. So I guess the idea is Picard wants to test him with fire.
Maybe.
Guess, because as soon as he does the things he gets him to do, he smiles and welcomes him really, really warmly. But it's on a dime, because he's been nice multiple times this episode, and to go really hard ass on this guy is weird. It doesn't feel organic.
Yeah, I understand that as a captain, you want to make sure your first officer is what's advertised, what's on the box. Because as he mentions his service record earlier, he's already looked into it, obviously, because it's what you do. And yeah, let's throw some curveballs at him at first to kind of get him off kilter, because when you first meet somebody, especially somebody in authority, you have it built up in your mind how you're going to approach it. You're going to be strong, you're going to be firm. When they come in the room, if you throw them off kilter, it screws up their entire game plan, and you get to see what they're really made of. So I guess that's what he was going for. Which is fair. I mean, credit for that, I guess. But yeah, go do a manual redocking of the ship. I broke it, you fix it, and then we'll talk.
Yes.
Do you really have to do it manually? I mean, really? Whatever.
My note on that was, if Data's doing it, it's not manual. It's a control computer with perfect motions. And he's not going to let it crash, is he? I'm sorry. He's not going to say, "Oh, sorry, sir, you didn't tell me to go 1 inch to the left. We crashed. I killed 50 people." Or you did, sorry, sir. It's a moment for spectacle, but it falls flat in spectacle. And just the idea of the saucer taking hours to slowly creep to you when you've literally passed them. You've walked past them to get to the planet, and then waited for them to catch up to you, when you could just have met them before you passed them. It's a very dumb... Because it's the same direction. You haven't gone from opposite directions, and they haven't been a swerve. Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science. So it's a bit funny.
And I do love when they're docking and you see the license plate, Enterprise NCC 1701. Yeah, it's like, this is the right saucer. Okay, good. Because there's lots of them floating around. We got to make sure we connect to the... I mean, in a battle situation, maybe I can see that. They separate for battle, come back after the battle. There's a whole bunch of saucers and ships flying around. This isn't the right one. God damn it, this is Yorktown. But it's a good identifier there. That's great.
Something you never see. That paint is not scratched. It's not dented, because that paint has not seen light of day or the light of space in years. Yeah.
Yeah. Polish Gamer puts in £10. So thank you very much, Polish
thank
Gamer.
you.
It feels like this episode was incredibly padded in terms of content, but so rushed. In the sense they knew they couldn't fill the time, but they also didn't have any time to polish the script. It felt like it's a lot of, here, look what we can do. The ship can separate. Look at our battle bridge. We have a battle bridge, so look forward to really cool things there. It's kind of like showing off all the new toys. But yeah, it's almost like not a polished script, because... And unfortunately, the next episode is just as bad, because it already references TOS, which pisses a lot of people off right off the hop, because it's like, oh, you got to stand on TOS to make your show. And then again, they almost never do it after that. But it was just a kind of a misstep there. But yeah, I agree with the script not being completely polished. And is that a boom mic or something hanging down on that scene? Look at the scene with the license plate. Look in the top of the screen. It's like there's a little cable hanging down. I don't know what it is, but it looks like one of the lights, actually. And I heard that, because in the DS9 documentary, they talk about the raw negative is much bigger than what we see here.
Yeah.
And DS9, they actually filmed with widescreen in mind.
Nice.
So TNG, they didn't. So they did have the overscan, the raw footage, but you see a lot of mic stands and lights and stuff that they couldn't go widescreen, because they weren't in that mindset back then, which is a shame.
Yeah,
but it's definitely something there.
I mean, they could make certain episodes in widescreen or certain scenes. There was one clip on YouTube that CBS did, but you just couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't do the show in widescreen really.
And Salmon, I am Negan Kerr puts in £1. Thank you. And Philip Ingram follows up with €5 with no comment. But thank you very much, Philip. Much appreciated. And as well as Simon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I mean, these are great, guys. Great for the support. Great. We really need it. And we want to be able to do these. When 200 people, it's great, especially the first one. Do another one on Thursday. And we'll do another live tomorrow to about the Picard show. So tune in for that as well. A great week of lives and a great, we had a sort of a slow Trekyards week. Personally, haven't done much content in the last, apart from the lives. This is a nice way of getting back out there. But yeah, I just think they should have softened this Picard. At least have him turn and say, "Welcome to the bridge. Your first, something else." It doesn't quite fit. And then it's just a weird thing to make him do this, especially given they called it out several times. Brand new ship. He's never been on the ship before. He hasn't been trained in this, surely. Why would Riker have this ability to do this?
Because he was trained in it. Because Picard says you are up to date or proficient in whatever.
But why would
you would need to learn it at the academy, I would assume. And
but
maybe
the ship
his
hadn't been invented yet when he was in the academy. He couldn't like for this.
But we've had saucer separations. Separation since TOS. So maybe the ship he was on previously, one of the last missions he was on, the ship had to summonish. I don't know. That's what I take it as.
Okay.
Or it's since it's in such a new ship, everybody got brushed up on it. Everybody that was going to be serving on it.
Okay.
So he just finished the course. He just did the. Yeah, he has the saucer reattachment handbook in his quarters. I don't know.
Lucky for him.
Yeah.
And then you get the nice scene where Picard talks about him for the job, and I do like the scene because it's very genuine. It's Picard saying, "Look, you in your previous command had a certain way. You were known for thinking of the captain first, his safety first, and not letting him go out and do things. You gonna stick by that?" And Riker's like, "Yes," and he's like, "Okay, good." Basically, he's like, "Okay, good. I need this. This is why I've hired you."
And he also says, don't you think captains got where they are by knowing when it's safe to beam down? And, kind of questioning them, because a lot of times when you get questioned by authority, the brown nosers say yes no matter what. Yep. So he's kind of playing that out. And one thing that's interesting about this scene was the lighting. It must be night shift because everything's so dark.
Yeah, I'm lightening it for this video because it's just really dark.
Yeah, it must have been night because, as you know, during night shift they dim all the lights on the ship, and unless you want one. But Fleet Pa Swiftback puts in $4.99.
Oh, thank you.
Wasn't Riker assigned to the USS Hood before Enterprise, and wasn't the Excelsior class able to separate? Yes, the Excelsior class was able to separate. I don't know if he was assigned to the Hood.
No,
the Hood.
Yeah, the Hood.
The Hood dropped him off. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
But I don't know what his last command was.
I think they said in it. Well, they call it the captain. I don't know if they call it the ship, but it wasn't the Hood.
No, just dropped him off. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like
Captain DeSoto. Captain DeSoto was his former captain. I have that note.
Yeah. But I do like this scene because it is very much this is a good payoff to Picard being a little bit of a dick, because you present this face of a more hard captain, and then he'll be less likely to go against you. The fact that Riker threw his ground proves that yes, he's actually going to be my real first officer, and then he just softens right up after he talked about the children, and he has a nice smile, and Riker has a smile you never see again, a baby face smile, literally, because he has a beard really soon, so you never see that smile again, and it's actually a really satisfying scene. Actually, it's a well set and paid off moment. Actually,
this was a good captain and commander first meeting kind of payoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how it goes immediately from you're letting the captain beam down to, by the way, I don't like children, so stop me making an ass of myself.
That's great.
Wow, priorities much, both ends of the spectrum.
It's as if they wanted to tell us something right away and force it into dialogue.
It comes in important later, soon.
And like he says, I'm not a family man. Is that going to be relevant for the new Picard show? I mean, it's changed a lot in 27 years, but it's just interesting.
Well, yeah, I think the death of his brother and his nephew is going to be a big impact on that character thing for wanting a family, maybe.
Yeah.
Because he makes a point of saying in Generations, I assume the name Picard would carry on because of that, and now it just ends.
Yeah.
So, but anyway. And of course, next scene is the just exposition dump of, hey, my visor, it does this and this and this and this and this, but being a doctor, you already knew that. Ha ha! So why did I say all this?
Yes. And this made me laugh because my note is... can you guess what I'm going to say?
Let me think.
A little thing.
This is the original. First of all, this is the original Brett, which is just literally a hair Brett that clips. So it's just repainted. It's like a kid's Brett. Later, it gets changed into. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't know what you're going to say.
I was going to say, Joy's scene was good if badly placed. That's a good thing. Geordie's visor called out extraordinary. So how come Arium, who can physically rebuild someone's body, become a cyborg 100 years earlier,
and
how is this extraordinary if you can make Arium people 100 years earlier? So that doesn't
let's not forget there's a visor wearing guy in the transporter room of Discovery as well.
That's
an older visor.
That's a scanner for that isn't a blind visor. That's presumably because it's only in the transporter room, so it's a transporter operation visor thing.
Oh, we see him in the mess hall once too. Yeah.
Do we?
So yeah.
So it just bugs me because we know this is extraordinary, and this is way more canon than Discovery is. So it's just like this extraordinary who's blind at birth, and yet Arium can completely rebuild her body from being destroyed in a shuttle accident and be fine, and yet they can't cure this. It's weird. Just a bit weird.
It is. Next shot, we got a quick shot of the bridge. You pan down, you get to see the skylight and show off the beautiful, show off the budget that they spent. That little piece of carpet is now gone from under Data's chair. Data's not there, but why doesn't this guy want to take the shuttle? Or why doesn't he want to take the transporter? Because of shuttles.
And by the way, that's the window you should have. The skylight. It's the only window on the bridge.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes. Yeah. Leonard McCoy, age 138, Admiral, United Federation of Planets.
137.
That's, But it's not about age, Stuart. So, what do you think about this scene?
Loved it. It was a great tie-in with the original series and the movies, and a nice handoff, or a send-off to the new crew. And I love how he even says, it's got the right name. Treat her like a lady. She'll bring you home every time. So I thought it was great. Loved it. And it's got McCoy's humor. I don't see no points on your ears, boy, but you sound like a Vulcan. I'm an android. Almost as bad.
Yeah, it's very... it's almost the J.J. Abrams sort of style of let's push one trait to the max to make a funny point, sort of McCoy. But I mean, he is old as hell, so presumably he's got a bit more... Although he's definitely still got his noggin, so that shows you can still have your brain. 137. And this again shows why Picard shouldn't be retired because he's still whatever. This scene though is another example of random scene thrown in, doesn't need to be there, doesn't add anything, and he was also on. Oh, sorry.
I should have been at the beginning, before Picard came on board or something,
or before the Hood. Like make a moment of them actually the Hood's departing, or like Riker's dropped off with the Hood. And so is McCoy, and they go back off.
You see a shuttle like leave from the Hood to go to the Enterprise or something. Yeah.
But it's honestly this scene I don't want it in the episode anymore. Having rewatched it, it adds nothing the way it is, and it is so out of place. It means he was on the ship when Q was doing his shit. Like he was also on a Q ship. He was also in the battle bridge. So I guess he could have slowly walked to the saucer. I guess, but like it should have been Crusher first of all. Because B Data adds nothing. If you want to hand off the generations, have it be Crusher, Doctor to Doctor, be in sickbay, showing like wow, your technology has really come a long way, Doctor. Well, thank you, Doctor. I've loved you since I was a child. Oh well, I'm an old Doctor. Like just such a wasted opportunity scene. Like it's great and fun, but Crusher,
just an old country doctor. The best cure for anything is a good old mint julep.
Awesome booze.
And then You do need. I think I disagree with you a little bit. I think you do need Data there because he's the Spock analog, and McCoy and Spock have such a great back and forth all through TOS. That's what they're kind of playing off here. So I kind of like that. It's kind of almost a foreshadowing of Data's character being like the new Spock, wanting to be human or not. Well, Spock didn't want to be human, but you know what I mean.
But you know what I mean about having Crusher? Would have been so much more organic.
Yeah,
Literally
you could have both of them.
A send off. Or 2 scenes. I mean, come on, he's not going to charge that much. I mean, this was a half a day shoot. He's already in the makeup. Have him do 2 scenes. I mean, have him be important in some way. Maybe like, how cool would it have been to, again, these are like, you know, there's so much padding as it is. But what if he was the one that was in sick bay? So if you recall much earlier, like much earlier. Jump in if you want to.
I was going to say this would have been a perfect explanation, perfect reason for the exposition dump by Geordi.
Dude,
McCoy be
yeah.
like, what is that newfangled thing? And
Love it.
Blah. Exposition dump. And of course, that would make more sense telling the older doctor, the newest tech. That'd be kind of neat, but it makes the scene, I think, too long. I don't know.
No,
but yeah, I think that would have worked better.
Well, that's even smarter than mine. I was going to say, what if he was there in sick bay when they brought in the guy on the bridge that got frosted the first time, and his idea saved the guy's life? It would have been important to the plot then. But I love the visor thing. What if he had said, oh yeah, I've seen that sort of pain before, boy. If you take an analgesic cream and, you know, that might just help. And he's like, oh, yeah, that might, you know. It would be nice if he had done something to the plot. Or just had a scene with Crusher.
Well, the analgesic cream scene would have been funny. That line, if Geordi looked at Crusher and Crusher's like, you know, he's an old man. Just give it to him. He doesn't understand. But that solved everything back in his day.
Well, I'm making a reference to obviously Rob Picardo's doctor that does analgesic cream for everything. That's kind of that's the. But you know what I mean? I love the scene, but it is out of nowhere, serves no purpose in the story, and it could have served a really nice little purpose. But it was a shame because seeing him in it is so nice. But
you forget that this is 2 separate episodes. I believe this is at the very beginning of the second episode, so it's kind of like a easing into the second episode.
Okay.
Or it was at the end of the first one. It was a
sense.
buffer. It was a buffer there to kind of lighten the mood.
Yeah.
Or get the thing established. So keep in mind that that's where probably the break was.
Well, that's what I mean. 2 parts. I think it needs to be 2 parts. It shouldn't be watched as one whole because it does. There's so much random stuff.
And I think it was right. Yeah, because I think what happened is the Picard and Riker scene happens at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
On the bridge. Ooh, look at this big, beautiful bridge.
Yep.
Oh, there's a guest on board. That leads into to the second episode. And if you look at it in that perspective, it works perfectly and it doesn't feel out of place. But yeah, as one cohesive piece, it does feel odd. So I agree.
But yeah, that's a great point. And Devo 77X says cameo starts here. Picard will cameo on DS9 and Quark on Voyager. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's part of the torch is what they always do, except like say Discovery. And Enterprise,
before you move on,
Enterprise technically did, but it wasn't as exciting. It made sense, but it wasn't as exciting. Sorry, yes.
Eugene puts in 750 rubles and says, "Oh boy, why won't you just eat that pill and grow a new pair of eyes?" You eat this.
Oh, that's great.
Doctor gave me a pill and I grew a new kidney.
That would be great. Yeah. But yeah, I just think McCoy looks really good in his old age makeup. He acts really good. I just coulda, shoulda, woulda. Classic. Then the Hood, like I say, that's another link to the movies. As you say, if that's the start of an episode, you've got McCoy and the Excelsior next to our ship in the first 5 minutes. It's a great shot, and they use it obviously a billion times, but it's a really nice.
Yeah, so McCoy was on the Hood, came over with Riker to say hi to the Enterprise. You know, look at the new Enterprise, this newfangled Enterprise.
Because the Hood dropped off Riker before the Enterprise got there. So then
he would have been on the Hood the whole time while the things with Q were going on. Well, then when they got to the planet, he would have took the shuttle over to the Enterprise.
The Hood's picking up McCoy. There's no inclination that the Hood is waiting for them at the planet. If it was, they would have mentioned it. I got the implication that the Hood dropped off Riker a day ago, 2 days ago, and then came back to pick up McCoy. Because if that was normal the entire time, it would have been a thing, I feel like.
I think it would have been. I think the crew of the Hood would have been on shore leave on this new starbase or space station.
Waiting for the D to sort of swap personnel.
Waiting for them to arrive, yes, because they need to swap personnel.
Well,
and McCoy was for some reason on the Hood.
Well, actually, double down that point, you might be right, because we see Riker before the Enterprise D gets there. We don't know how long he's been there, but I doubt because there's a lot of Starfleet officers on that base. It's a lot of people. It's really kind of strange. They're not all staying in the hotel on the starbase. You wouldn't trust it that easily. so you're all staying in your quarters on the hood. So that I can buy, actually, and they're just hood officers. Okay, no, I'll give you that. But the framing, it would have been nice to have seen the hood earlier, like meeting up with them, rather than suddenly there for one shot then leaving. It feels as if it just arrived and just left.
Yeah, I just got the impression they were in orbit the whole time, waiting for them.
Needed a shot. If I ever do a remaster, I'll put the hood in earlier.
There you go.
That'll fix up on.
And Chad Anderson puts in $2 and says,
you.
all the doors are open in the hallway.
Oh, yeah, they were, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And AC Costello puts in $2.
Thank you.
And says, kudos mods in chat for keeping multiple chats going. That's what the mods are good at. They keep things organized and civil there. They bring things to our attention. It's awesome. I love having the mods. I don't think we could do it without them, considering how in depth we get with our discussions. So thank you. And that's why, again, thanks for saying that, because that's another reason that super chats are super important, because we really miss a lot that happens in the chat because we get so involved with talking to each other, and that's what the mods are there for. But that's what super chats are super important, because we get to see those. They stand out because they're not only colored, but they come up in a separate window in our view here. So
well, it's
very
nice
important
because we're here to make the content for you, but obviously you're engaging with us, and so them. I mean, you talk to them separately as well, Stuart. So it allows for us to engage with more information and such. And obviously that's why super chats are great, because we always see them, we always discuss. It's just a whole good team. We're very happy, and then yeah, like I said, because of that we're able to do this cool content and talk to you great people, and hopefully enjoying the after the fact.
Yes, and if you are enjoying, click the like button. We got 192 people. We should have 190 likes. 2 of you I can forgive for not hitting it, but come on, everybody hit it. Yes. All right, so basically we're starting into episode 2 now. Again, it starts off kind of jovially on the bridge with Picard, talking to Riker, and then all of a sudden Q pops up as a reminder, because again, it's the beginning of the second episode. So hey, Q is a thing, and I love how he points his phaser at the view screen, and this is where Picard says, do you intend to blast a hole in the viewer? Not a window. The viewer?
No. Because there's rooms in front of that. Like, there's actually like 3 slices in front. Yeah. So it wouldn't have been the end all be all. But yeah, and that's a great effect actually. They do a lot of in front of view screen, blue screen.
Yeah.
And this actually looks really good. I like the effect. Some of it not so much, but this one's really good.
Yeah, I gotta say the next shot of Riker is a very good dirt moment. So good job.
Welcome. Yes.
So this is, oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, introduction of the fish.
What's that?
Introduction of the fish. That's why I include that shot.
Yeah.
The fish is now here.
Yeah. That's where we also hear that this Farpoint Station has a lot of construction materials that are not of this world.
Yes.
And so they're curious as to how this thing was constructed by these people, that the Bandai, which Bandai makes great model kits, by the way.
I was thinking that too.
So I wonder if they harnessed little aliens to put in the boxes. Makes me wonder if I got little aliens here. Anyway.
Yes. And also they mentioned that it's to Federation standards, or better. Space station.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get introduced to Counselor Emzadi and Riker, and they have a thing. And can you hear me, Emzadi? Do you remember what I taught? It's like, I don't know, did he hear you? Because he didn't acknowledge you. So are we just hearing you? And he's like... Because later, when they get in the elevator, or the turbo lift, she's still talking, and he's like...
Barely responding.
Like, are you acknowledging that she's... Like, I don't understand if he actually heard her, or if she was trying to project it, and he just was like, I don't know. Sorry, that's just...
No, it's weird. It's a very forceful moment with a lot of like. I bet if you watched the scene, it would be really awkward if they did one long scene, just like them looking at each other. Picard's like, I'm gonna say anything. Hello. I mean, I'm waiting. Come on, guys. Come on. Stop looking at each other. Come on. I'm assuming he does. That's the context that I'm getting. But then if that's a superpower that they have, that she can... Like, how can he train to hear her telepathic thoughts? Either she can telepathy in someone's head, or she can't. He can't train to do it. And if he could, it's really useful. And then I was always waiting for him to say, yes, Mzadi, I can hear you. And hearing in her brain, obviously she would just read his mind. But yeah, it's a weird scene, and thank goodness they dropped the level of children level to professionalism, and then sort of romance a few seasons later, because this shot of all three of them is like, as I said, cheerleader, young guy, Picard like oblivious. And it's like, this is not the drama we want from this show. This is not a well.
And again, as a first episode, you're thinking, okay, is this foreshadowing? Is this going to get them out of a predicament at some point? He's going to be in a prison cell somewhere. You're going to be able to communicate with him and like lead people to him.
Yes.
It's like there's so much potential for that. This mind link that they have, if they had it. I don't even know if you heard her, but anyway, it's so much potential that it's a possibility, because it's the first episode and second episode, so of a new thing. So we've got to think of it in that light as well. Kind of try to ignore our knowledge of Star Trek. That would have been interesting in a few situations. It would have been very helpful for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At some point out the chat, Picard should know they know each other. I mean, it's said later on that he spends years at Beta Z, doesn't he? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he's read that, because he's presumably picked these two people, so he knows the service record, which means he knows roughly where they've been at certain times, and they've got quite a good history together. He's like, oh, do you know each other? So you know we do. Yes, I know you banged, but I wanted you to tell me first. Anyway. Oh, and then you get this model shot of the city.
Point. Why is there always... Oh, sorry. Did I cut out again?
Yes. What did you say, sorry?
Oh, sorry. Area 51 made a good point. Why is there always this damn harp music playing when these two meet up?
Oh. That's a point I had right at the start. I said... I think I summarized to music is really overbearing in this episode. It's good music, but it's really overbearing. It forces you to feel something, and it's way over the top.
Yeah.
But you got this model shot of the city, and it was obviously miniature, but it needed people doing something. It's so empty and so dead. There's no sense of the culture, no sense of... I mean, I was limited budget, but when it gets shot at later, it's like, oh no, the people are dead. How can you tell? There's no bodies, there's no people walking around.
There's casualties, and I'm like, really?
There's not.
I just assumed, every time I watch this though, I always assume that everybody, all the Bandai are like on Farpoint, because it's like this new cool place.
Yeah.
So they've abandoned their houses and are living over there. But it's like all of a sudden there's a line with there's casualties. It's like, really? Well, why don't you go and help these people?
Well, we'll get into that later. That's a whole thing. We're going to...
Yeah, I know.
Start shooting.
But this scene in his office, they're like, Starfleet wants them to help build star bases because this was done so fast and so fantastically. And then, well, maybe Starfleet wants answers, and well, maybe the Ferengi would be interested in the station. And this is so stupid because this is before the Ferengi. The Ferengi were supposed to be the new big baddies, like mysterious, and the last thing Riker says as he leaves is, let's hope the Ferengi find you as tasty as they did their past associates. Sorry, Picard said that. So apparently the Ferengi eat people. Something to consider, guys.
They miscalculated that reference. No, it's... I mean, I didn't realize... I didn't remember hearing them, that they were... that name comes in straight away. It's like Game of Thrones. You reference things that exist early on. It's like, oh, wow. But this is definitely a weird scene, and I mean, this guy, I hate this actor in this part, in this look, in this hair. I hate it. Like, why this? Jeez, everything about him is wrong. I hate it.
Well, they're making him look like more primitive, because that's the whole mystery of Farpoint Station, is that they built this advanced space station.
Something about him, the acting, him bugs me. Everything about him. Something. Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Bugs me.
Fair enough. There are people that just bug me from the onset too.
Yeah.
Hey, I just noticed something.
Yes, what?
Oh, sorry. I'm on the next scene on the Enterprise, so if you're not there yet, I'll wait.
I was going to say that Troi senses the pain of the creature, and he's like, I don't know what that is. And it's like, dude, you've just been called out. And if you knew she was Beta Z, throw out the room. And he basically lets it... This guy is dumb. He lets being found out happen. It's like, oh no, I don't know what that is. Please don't investigate it. Sensing death and pain, which is the staff officer to help. It's like, yeah, this isn't the start of the end, you idiot.
Anyway, next scene, Enterprise. And you see this lady. This looks a lot like Ardra. Is this the same actress that plays Ardra?
She's way taller, I think.
I thought so, but the face looks and the hair looks so much. Anyway, this is where we find out that the onboard navigation system is really high tech and cool, and it can tell you where people are on the ship. And I think that's really neat. I thought that was something, again, first time watching this, something that's going to be more useful later on. It does come up a few times in TNG as well as Voyager, with lights kind of leading somebody somewhere. But it was kind of underused in my opinion. But it was really cool seeing, asking where Commander Data was, seeing the lights flash along the corridor that you have to go along, and then showing an actual overhead of the deck. That was really cool, actually. So did like that.
Yeah, and that's one of those nice random scenes that I think adds something to the texture of the. And this one I think also places slightly better than other ones.
Yeah. It gives us that tech taste that we like, because we're all about the ships and the tech. So it's like, yeah.
And did you notice that the lady, as Riker walks away, she looks back and checks out his ass?
That's exactly what Sylvia said. She's like, she totally just scoped out his ass.
Yeah.
It's like, because he's supposed to be like the suave guy, So playing up that.
It's so blatant. It's great. Like, they literally held her to check it. I mean, she looks down. It's great. It's great. It's actually really fun. Anyway.
Eugene puts in 500 rubles.
Thank you.
Because we were talking about checking out Riker's ass.
Yes.
I don't know, Eugene. Well, Troi and Riker being on the same planet does not mean they would have known each other. By the way, Deanna's alien accent is stupid. Too bad it took 6 seasons to fix. Yes, her weird alien accent that she tried to put on for a while very slowly just disappears.
Until Nemesis, and she's just an Englisher again. And in terms of the same planet, I mean, in the records it would say where they were stationed. So it would have said, wow, stationed in the same complex at the same time for 3 years.
Still a pretty big leap, though. Still a pretty big leap,
I
though,
mean,
in my opinion.
We could have said, oh, do you know each other? You both were beta stated for 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it might have also
like
said,
that.
I don't know how detailed they go, but it might have said dating. I mean, they dated for years. So, I mean, would it not have romantic in the personnel record? I mean... She's a princess of Beta, isn't she? Like her mother is like one of the higher ups of the council. Like, she's not. Like,
she thinks she's one of the higher ups. She's got all these titles that probably don't mean too much.
Oh, she's not really.
Oh. I don't think so. No,
oh,
I think
okay.
she's one of the higher end families for sure. But she's not anybody super important. She uses all these titles and spouts them off every time. It's like those people. It's like
Holy
those
Charles.
people that are.
Holy Charles of Beta, that's not that.
Yeah, and the keeper of the rings and all this. Yes. I don't remember it all, but anyway, it's like those people that only have, the doctors that have like one letter behind their name or two. They're like, call me Dr. Foley, instead of the people that have 15 letters after their name and they don't care if you call them doctor because they know they've earned it. But the other ones that don't feel they've earned it have to spout these, I'm a doctor every time. Kind of like why I say I'm Captain Foley all the time, because I didn't earn that. But that's kind of the vibe I get from her. She's holder of the sacred chalice and the rings of Beta Z. It's all these useless titles that mean something to her family, but really everybody else is like, I don't know. So anyway, so you're just muted. So here we get the holodeck scene, and again, it was really cool seeing the holodeck for the first time. We're going to talk about the holodeck technology in just a second, because there's something that happens that gets addressed in a few episodes, actually. But he meets Data for the first time, and Data's trying to whistle. And really good scene. Riker finishes the whistle for him. And again, great introduction to... Because this is really the first time we got introduced to him being an artificial, besides the McCoy thing. So this was actually really well played. And again, you can see this is the second episode, by the way, that they're building these kind of levity, and then anyway, good scene. And the loose rock, that's important, don't you know?
It's quite telegraphed for sure.
Yeah.
I did have a note here. Oh yeah, why is Data chilling? I guess he's off duty. Like, I mean, of all the people on the ship, why does he need off-duty time? And then why, like, they're doing important things, and they now know certain things are maybe fishy, and he's not on the bridge. He's just like, why is he off duty right now? And then Riker just takes him off duty. Like, out of all the things he could be doing, this is not the one at this point. Like, this would have been a great way of seeing McCoy again. Just to go back to 2 and 1, say, well, he's looking, wow, he's like put his head in the holodeck. It's a great scene, but it's like, why is Data there? I guess he's off duty and lol.
Hmm.
I guess.
Let's introduce the two new coolest pieces of tech: data and a holodeck at the same time.
But I like that though in the 2 episode context that this is like a reset up, a really cool scene.
Yeah.
It, again, works better as that. It's very random when you watch it as an hour and a half. It's just like, oh, another random scene that is separate.
Yeah. And so here we're talking about the holodeck a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, we're near the rear wall," and he throws this rock, and it hits, and it pixelates.
It's a great effect. It's a really good effect.
And it's good because we have an episode on holodecks. I don't think it's been released yet, though.
No.
It's been filmed.
Yeah.
But we talk about holodeck technology, and what happens later in the Dixon Hill video or episode coming up. The holodeck gets upgraded because it's newer technology here. So in Dixon Hill one, they're talking about how more realistic things are, because if he had thrown this rock with the updated holodeck, even if it was a physical rock made by the replicators, as they were talking about here, they talk about how it actually replicates and makes physical matter, just like the replicator and transporter systems. If he threw it at the wall, it would dematerialize as it hit the wall and then cast a projection onto the wall of the rock moving, so you wouldn't actually interact with the wall. So it upgrades the tech of the holodeck in the Dixon Hill one, and that's why it's such a big deal that they go check out the new holodeck technology in Dixon Hill. You can smell things, there's more interactions with the environment. So I really like that, and you would not know that if you didn't watch Trekyards.
For the win.
Exactly.
Yeah, and obviously Riker's just pure, oh my god. I mean, a lot of it is obviously sensory. You know, it's pumping out smells, humidity. It's a feel, which isn't maybe Discovery holodecks just had purely visual. But it again devalues Discovery even further because it's like, this is magic. You know. But I like the limitation, like you say, the fact that they can just throw a rock at the wall, which is 1 foot away. You know, be very careful with what you do. You know,
don't run too fast in the holodeck.
Yeah.
What we're saying.
Oh, and speaking of running too fast, welcome to Data Stunt Double.
Well, yeah, it's clearly a stunt double. Yeah, I have that in my notes as well.
They're really bad at this episode.
It is really well. It's even worse in TOS. Come on, there's some fight scenes in the engineering room with Kirk that's clearly not Kirk, and they hang on to it for so long. It's like. Okay, I appreciate the fact that stunt doubles did things. Yay for the stunt doubles. Their names are in the credit. But for God's sakes, put Kirk's face over the actor. We have the technology now. We can do that. Do that. Anyway.
Defix into post, yes.
Yeah, this is one of the other features of the holodeck, is that it can make people look like not themselves.
Oh, and Gary Jones says, I love your show.
Oh, thank you, Gary Jones.
And guys, do keep super chatting. We love the support, and we do want to hear. I mean, guys, this is an iconic Trek moment. We'd very much like to hear your thoughts on it. So please do let us know, and we can read out your comments. You know, seriously, what do you think of this episode, about the scenes? And obviously, you can help control the conversation with what we say.
And Dan 23, the animated series, did have its own version, just in one episode, The Practical Joker, but it was an environmental simulator, I believe. Yeah. And it wasn't as nearly as advanced. It was just basically you sit in it, and they didn't really get into the technical aspect of it, but yeah.
Well, not just that, but assuming there is no VHS, there is no after the fact play, and so assume most people in the world didn't even know that was a thing. So it's still a fresh start. It's just an after this, and then as a reference, you're like, oh damn, he had the idea 10 years earlier. Right. Awesome.
And they tried to tie it in with Star Trek Continues, with the holodeck with Doug Drexler as the gunslinger. You can even smell the gun oil. Yeah. So
that's great. Yeah.
I thought it was a little too advanced for TOS for them to throw it in Continues, but anyway, they would have made bigger leaps between then and now.
Speaking of quite a big leap, I've always loved you see where they're walking out the holodeck. I've always loved how they do the arches, because most of the time it's seamless moving from the Enterprise D into a space or into the space out of, because they are either, if you look at it, either they built this arch in a forest / in their forest set, and then locked it off and had Picard standing, so they just walk out of the real forest into this little set, or they had the real set, they put a blue screen, but look how far they are into the room. That's a long way with shadows, and it's very well composed. I mean, it's a really, really good effect, whichever way they did it. I don't know which is cheaper because one is flying you know what I mean but it's a very very and very very well done effect, and they've done a few of those this episode alone. Real credit to that because they get depth right, they get feel right. Is this 1987 blue screen possibly? And then probably enhanced it for the Blu-ray, but seriously, it's really good.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
You get this little interaction with Picard and Wesley before he really knows who Wesley is, which is odd to me, but whatever. And then the next scene, we got Wesley really wants to see the bridge and bugging his mom. Can you let me see the bridge? Can I come up with you? And she's like, well, you're pushing your luck there, kiddo. Yeah. Good mother-daughter. Yeah, good mother-daughter moment with Mr. Will Wheaton.
Again, I think he's fine. I think he's actually quite well balanced. But it's funny how when he gets to the bridge, he knows how to use everything, and yet he doesn't know the rule is can't go on the bridge. Like, you know the rules.
Well, that's Picard's rule. He knows the technical manual. He doesn't know Picard's rules.
This is his first 20 minutes on the ship, I guess, or like first hour, so I suppose.
Okay, hold on. I got to address something. Ooh. Hawkins in the chat says, how do you get wet from a force field water? We talk about this in our episode on Holodecks, which needs to be released. You need to watch it when it gets released. It's really good because the technology exists that it's actual physical water in the holodeck because it replicates water. It can do that out of a replicator in a quarters. So it replicates water. So when you get your costume wet in the holodeck, you were in literal water, so it carries over. Same with the snowball later that comes out of the holodeck in the one episode.
With Scott Grimes.
Exactly. It's actually a snowball that physically comes out of the holodeck.
This is Angel 1.
Yes, Angel 1. But anyway,
Sylvia, cameo.
Some replicated material can leave the holodeck if it's like if you make a little carved wooden horse out of. You can take that out of the holodeck if it's a physical thing. You can because it can replicate it within the holodeck. If you don't want that, it'll just disappear when you leave.
Yes.
Watch our episode on the holodecks,
even
though it's not out yet.
That's an annoying one though, because literally, it's like 120, 200 reference pictures I've got to find from every point because everything's referenced. It's a really annoying edit because like
I know, but
everything is going to have to be in it for it to work. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. Studio did a really, really 10 out of 10 job on that script. It's just a really long piece to
it's a really good script. You guys are going
really good.
Yeah, you guys are going to learn a lot. Yeah. All right, Jeff Jacobs puts in $3 and says, "Nice, 150 likes. We'll go again at 200. Hashtag TNG like spike." See, he was listening.
Click that
Good job,
button.
Jeff.
153. I'll see 160 before Stuart finishes this next sentence. Come on, guys. 7 people.
Right.
Click that like button.
Derek Rankin puts in £5. First, did you see the HAL panel from the Space Odyssey next to Worf as he's coming down lift in engineering?
No.
I did not.
Let me scroll.
And while you're doing that, Derek also puts another £5 and says, "Did we see physical contact between Lorca and Tyler as if not disco era holograms might not be solid but only used for target practice?" Yeah, it was more like a target range. You never see them interact with anything except like I think they hide behind an obstacle, but it's actually one of the walls in the room that I believe has a projection over it.
Don't go that far. Because they also push a control to open a door. They almost make it work, but there's too much 3D sense of where they are. There's too much, like, it almost works, but yeah. It should have been. They should have had like a little button on the gun that opens doors, so it was like a VR, but you could just walk around, so they couldn't touch anything. That would have been better. But they do like, I don't know. And the wall interface. I mean, I guess it's HAL. I mean, it's just really a black panel on a thing, but you guys can see it now. I wouldn't necessarily call it HAL, but it's there.
All right.
But thank you, Derek. Much appreciated. So where are we now? We are... the Crusher scene. Well, that's just the moment where there's something between Crusher and Picard, like something. It's a nice little, peel of exploration, don't have time. All the great explorers don't have time for families. And she's like looking scornful, which I thought was really just like, oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So next scene, they're down on the planet, and they decide to split up and check the underground passageways that are there, because there's a bunch of quite elaborate passageways under the station. So they split up and do that. And then this is one of the scenes where Troi is like, pain. I think Spock did it better. Come on now. Devil in the Dark. Pain! Spock did it much better. Somebody needs to make a meme. Who did it better? Sorry.
No, yeah. Again, Troi has to have a reason to be in this episode or in the show. You know,
Yes.
they could have done the whole her better. I mean, I think she should have been more mature. Like she doesn't feel like she would be given this assignment, this highest ranking assignment theoretically. Especially if they're going right to the edge. She's just not mature enough as a person. I guess because her mum's maybe high up, they got her the gig, but it's weird. Okay, I want to talk about these corridors for a second, Stuart.
Okay. Yes. Please
So
do.
at this point, I was thinking, and we're quite a way in. We're 2/3 in. I'm like, okay, it's a bit long, but it's still sort of kept its intriguingness to some extent. I don't obviously know where it's going, but okay. They beam down these corridors. Okay, great. First of all, I didn't see it was a matte painting till after, but it's literally 2 walls matte painting, which is fine in the first shot, but gets worse as it goes on. And they use this one corridor, this one little room, every single time. And after about 4 times, you're like, oh my god, you're back here. Cut to 2 minutes later, oh my god, you're back here. And the exact same angle. And it's like, you stupid mother effers, stop showing us this goddamn angle. Because the actors are like, oh, he wants to walk back in. Oh, okay. Walk back. Oh, no, stop. Come for this one. Oh, back in. I know budget, but it's the cheapest, laziest, garbagest. Like, it gets every single time. It's worse and worse to the point of like, oh my god, you meant to show off this cool location. You don't. You can even see them like walk past the matte painting because there's a point in the motion picture where actors have to walk left or right down a corridor because there's no further. Same thing, like walk past. It's just I didn't notice it. Like it wasn't annoying until the 7th to 10th time, and it's like stop. And then they beam to the alien ship at the end. It's the exact same effing corridor. So they're like, oh my goodness, an unknown thing. You've seen it 8 times today.
Well, they do say that. It's got similar, exactly. Well, it's similar. It's exactly like down on the planet.
They don't.
And I don't have a problem with that as much as you do for some reason, because I just assume that every corridor does this, and they all look alike. So just walking down, and it's just repeating the same structure.
This is where the budget just dies a horrible death.
A little bit, yeah. I'll sure.
I love the close-ups, but the fact that these are too many times. Too many times, like 3 too many. Anyway, sorry, it just bugged me this time.
That's okay.
I think in high def, though, I think again.
That's your director coming out. That's your director filmmaker mentality coming out.
Really
didn't bother me as much because I just assumed that all the corridors looked alike, so it was all fine.
The same effing room. Anyway.
I know. It's okay. Anyway, next scene. Children not allowed on the bridge. Oh, he's not technically on the bridge, sir. He's in the turbo lift. He escorted me up.
What, you gonna fire me, bitch?
Yeah. And then Picard is surprised that it's Wesley that he had bumped into earlier. It's like, really? I've seen Will Wheaton age. He would look like that. How long ago was it? It wasn't that long ago. A few years. You'd be able to tell. I don't know. I think it's silly.
Yeah, it's this whole scene's a little bit weird because they said earlier that Picard brought her husband's body to them, and Wesley was alive and young. So he knew she had a daughter, son, God damn it, a son, and
it's the Freudian slip. You just said daughter too.
I know. And it's implied that Wesley was there and conscious of it, that he remembers it. Did you get that vibe too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So therefore, you probably met the kid, and so why you like from the scene, it feels as if they're trying to say, "Oh, is this my son? You had a kid that I never met? What are you saying, Beverly?" That's the vibe. But it's like, no, you probably met him when he brought his dead father to him. You know he had a kid. You know what age is roughly. Yes, you haven't seen him in 7 to 12 years. But it's like, I mean, that's your son? You met him.
Could it be my son?
He was like 5. What do you want? Yes, you met him. You talked to him. You're a dick. Like, it's a weirdly played scene. And then he suddenly has this reversal of being nice, which I think is great. But they should have played him being his son. That I think would have been a really good, although shitty for him when he was a kid, because he cheated on his best friend's wife and got her pregnant Like really dark, but cute in the show. Dark for backstory, cute in the show. See the reversal to F off to. Do you want to sit in the captain's chair? Have I?
Yeah.
I've only sat there yet. You're the second person to sit in the chair in the whole show, Wesley. It's like, okay. Sure.
Yeah, and this side does this, and this side. It's like, all right, kid. First of all, how do you know that, and why do? Shut up.
You know he hates you. Don't push it.
Exactly. That bothers me with kids when they're like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, really, just. So yeah, I understand the frustration there. But anyway,
which is dumb.
The boy. Yeah. Incoming alien spacecraft, and it's a UFO.
I thought, yeah, I got. Where's my note?
And the funniest thing, the funniest thing is that they say it's 12 times the volume of the ship, which is fine. But Picard thinks it could be the Ferengi. Okay, I understand they're going to go for the Ferengi being the big baddies of this series. That's the whole vibe from season 1, and then it's scaled back, obviously. But it's like they're that much of a mystery, seriously, that you don't understand that this is not a Ferengi vessel. I mean, it could be a new form. It could be the Ferengi dreadnought. Who knows? But it bothered me immensely.
I didn't even catch
But again,
that, yeah.
First time around, we don't even know what the Ferengi look like as viewers. So we're like, oh, we're the same boat as them. They don't quite know what the Ferengi are. They've heard stories of the Ferengi.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, we know they don't know what the ship looks like until the episodes. That's fine, but you'd have a sense of them. And this ship is massive, as often sci-fi does. Just like it's bigger, therefore threat. Yeah, that's weird. That's certainly weird. Although I was obviously we now know, but to scan it, they ask, "Is it the hood, sir?" It's like, you scanned it. It doesn't have energy readings. Why are you asking? Is it the hood? No, of course not the hood. What do you want about, Captain? It's like what? Yeah, but isn't it just the most flying saucer of flying saucer?
Yeah. And
it's a cheap ass looking flying saucer. Like it's not even a good looking flying saucer.
That being said, it's got some cool lights that do the thing.
Yeah, the second when it like levels up to be glowy, it actually looks pretty good. But it's a very that's what they went with. Although obviously it's just the head of a creature, which is great, but.
And Trek Reviewer is correct. He says it looks like the ship from The Greatest American Hero, and it absolutely does. Oh, that's an 80s show. Eugene puts in 500 rubles and says,
"Oh, thank you.
Damn that voice. Wesley, have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
Oh, dear.
Oh, Eugene. Anyway, communications are blocked. That's the next note I have. Scan. Oh yeah, they're down in the corridors and the communications to the ship are blocked.
Oh, before you do that, I love the long shots, the high up. That's a gorgeous shot, actually. They needed more of that because that shows you very clearly like the green as well and the look. That's a good shot. That's
remastered though. It didn't look that good when I watched my DVD version of it.
Was it even the same shot?
I honestly don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but I don't remember this shot, so I would assume not.
That's a good looking shot. I mean, I like that shot a lot. It's a very creative angle.
Yeah. But yeah, communications are jammed, and then it starts shooting at the old Bandai City.
Yep. And could you sense the worry by our heroes of innocent people getting massacred? I mean, the instant, sir, target them, sir, they're killing innocents. It's like, they don't give a shit. They don't. I know they sort of raise shields and think he talks to them later, Q. But as soon as it happens, there's very little reaction of any other season when they're not villains, they would try and save them.
Yeah. Well, I hate this scene because it reminds me of TOS. First of all, the sky just being all one monotone color. This looks like the episode Spectre of the Gun. It looks like a Western city.
Yes.
With the red skyline.
Yeah.
And it just looks like that exact same set being blown up. So it kind of bugs me a little bit that way, but
it looks cheap.
It does.
It looks like a miniature. There needs to be people. Oh. It should have been slightly more enhanced. It didn't need much, but it needed something to work.
Yeah. Then they come up with the plan of a highly illegal kidnapping of Grappler Zorn, Groppler, whatever the hell his name was.
That came out of left field a bit.
And yeah, Yeah.
Should we do something
Well,
heavily illegal than one? Yes, sir. Break the rules. That's what I'm about.
they know that he knows more than he's letting on, so this is the perfect time to come in. But this pissed me off. Maneuvering jets. Force field on. Force fields and maneuvering jets. Okay, let's get out of the 60s now, and let's up our vocabulary a little bit. That bugged me. That's like closing the circuit and stuff, or the detector circuits earlier.
Close the pod bay doors, Hal. Pod bay doors.
Even that's more technical.
Yes. And did you notice that when they come out of this cave, it's actually a custom set piece for that moment, and it's handy cam. It feels like a fan film. Watch that moment again when they come out of the cave. It's like, like it's poorly lit, but it's meant to be, and they're like it feels like a fan film. It's really strange. Like it's not how they shoot the rest of it. They realize, oh damn, got to film something. Quickly make this little archway, and then she's like, no, don't go out there. And they look back to her, it's like, sorry, sir. It's like, everyone's being bombed. Sorry, sir. Let's pause and look at each other. It's like, you didn't need that moment. Calm down.
Yeah.
And then Q appears, and when he says arm phases, which makes sorry.
No. You're okay. You're right. Sorry, you got Q appears first. Okay.
Yeah, and then it says arms phases, and then he comes in and say, "Oh, this is easy," and I sort of agree with him, but more in the sense that he's not reacting like he would normally, which is learn about it, try and scan it. Like he's not doing the steps to get to the knowledge. Even if you wouldn't guess it was a sentient life form, even with Troi's hints, you wouldn't guess that. But he isn't doing the steps needed to find out until a few minutes later. So
okay. I need to step away for 10 seconds.
Sure thing. Okay. Right, so I'm here, guys. Talk to me. What do you guys think about this episode? Can I make $100 of super chats while Stuart's away and prove I'm the best person of Trekyards? Maybe. That's up to you guys. No, seriously, let me know what you guys think. I had so much fun rewatching this. Well, in the sense that it was a good experience, but it was certainly sort of dull. But I mean, it's interesting. And yes, Necroglobular, he really is, and I've met him. He's a lovely guy as well.
Yes, I am. Thank you for speaking so highly of me while I was gone.
And Eugene says, "Did they ever mention RCS thrusters on screen?" They do, but not for a while.
Yeah,
it's absolutely in canon name.
So where are we? Did we move it all?
No, I just
tangented. Okay. There's a scene here of Crusher, and she's carrying a case, medical case, and when she sets it down, I'm kind of annoyed, but I assume you get a screen cap of it, of what it said on the side. It said biological cultures. It's like, why are you taking a biological culture kit down to help wounded? Anyway.
Yeah. All I thought here though was this is just a redress of the TMP shuttle bay, sick bay. Like that's like the bed Ilea was on. Yeah. Like this is the one shot where they hadn't actually built sick bay yet. So I thought they were quite. But you see it, you still see it. Like they don't chimp on showing. It's clearly the TMP set.
Yeah, for season 1 and 2, the sick bay is not really fully fleshed out or built. I don't think. Yeah. You can tell it. The shots they use are weird angles. Yes. Fleet Paw Swiftback puts in $1.99 and says it brought back Star Trek to the small screen. Loved it. Absolutely, yes.
Well, I mean, you can see a lot of potential. Seriously, I mean, there's a lot of potential here. The sets are great. The actors are shining. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Like they're a good cast, and you can tell. And there's a lot of good beats of interest. Just you can see the disharmony of the two plots. If they'd said we're going to do the Q storyline and do a really unique puzzle, rather than our unique puzzle is our default story that,
Yeah. So next thing we got Data and Riker all covered in dust. And I got to say, I don't think Brent Spiner can actually pull this maneuver off now in his old age. That quick ab power sit-up, that was really good.
Yeah.
But they go in just in time to see Groppler get sapped up by the alien ship. And then we got a sense of satisfaction from Deanna Troi. Whoop-de-doo.
Because they've murdered everyone.
Yes.
Again, it's weird to go from They're killing all the not innocent. Although we don't know how many of them are complicit. I mean, why would Tybazon tell everyone that they've captured a space creature? You know what I mean? Like, why would the son of the butcher know? I mean, so it's just weird, the context of like we don't care about the humanoids at all.
I got the sense that the alien wasn't trying to kill people. It was. That's why I assumed the city was abandoned and they were living on the more advanced Farpoint at this point, because it was shooting up the village. Because I don't think it wants to really hurt anybody necessarily. It's kind of like warning shots, but they do mention casualties at one point. There are casualties, and you see nobody dying. You see nobody running. You see nobody. There's no sense of danger. Yeah. Anyway,
you do get this great foreshadow of the Riker Q episode. It's a little bit on the nose, but at least it's there.
Well, before that though, Data and Riker get beamed up, and literally 10 seconds later they're on the bridge. So that was a quick trip from transporter room to the bridge. There's a line where they're beamed aboard, and then all of a sudden they're there. Yes. I don't know if it's literally meant to be that amount of time, or that the guy in the transporter room was just really late. Like they left like 2 minutes ago, but they're here. Yeah. You would think that they'd be like, hey, they just beamed on, and then all of a sudden they're on the bridge. Like, it just seemed odd. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough. Didn't even see that. Nice. And then you get the most random scene in the middle of an emergency where the alien is shooting possibly civilians. He goes to Dr. Crusher to see if she wants a different job. It's like, sorry, hold on, Q. I'm just gonna, obviously he's gone away, but it's like, hold the fort for a second. I'm just going to talk to my maybe girlfriend that maybe got pregnant, have a different kid, but not really. That plotline was abandoned. So, how you doing? Help me, Enterprise. Beverly, do you want a different job? The innocent people are dying.
This is one of those scenes that was filmed and was supposed to be put in earlier after the Wesley's thing on the bridge. And they edited the whole episode together, and then they looked over and they see this roll of film sitting there, like, shit. Yep. Well, we're at this spot. Let's just place that in right there.
It's that.
Well,
it's 100%.
Nobody will notice.
It's 100%. It's so broken as a scene.
Yeah.
It's a really good scene. I'll say that. I like the scene a lot. Although it's weird that, he's like, so just because I sort of yelled at your son for sort of breaking the rules that are fine, do you want a different job? And she's like, well, no, I asked for the job and you said yes. So obviously I know what I'm doing. He's like, do you know what you're doing? He's like, well, yeah, she asked the job. Like, but we're told she asked the job.
She's a woman after all. He's got to make sure everything's fine. He's got to make sure that she's considered all of her options. I don't know. That's the vibe it gives me, and it's like, oh, really?
Okay. I think it's just tell the audience that she wanted to be here, because you don't know if you're assigned or whatever, but it's like she knows you got her dead husband to her, and she still wants to be a chief of medical, so she made that choice, dude. Don't stop the innocents. Maybe though he's trying to delay her from going down to save the innocents because he wants them to die too. He sympathizes with the space tentacle creatures. Yeah, weird scene. And then, Stuart, we get the corridor again. The corridor of corridor. The one corridor of the corridor. It's a corridor. It looks the same as a ship. It's the corridor. Anyway.
Well, it shows that they're related somehow. It's like, yay!
Yep. Super related.
And then Broppler's being tortured, and they shoot him or stop the torture, and then... Good God. I had lost interest at this point. Let's be fair.
But isn't it lucky that there's a blanket underneath him to stop his fall?
Oh, yeah.
That inside the alien's veins, there's a blanket. Lucky. But yeah, the ship does lights for some reason. Q reappears in his Starfleet uniform. And I just thought, boy, his hair's really short.
Yeah.
And it's got like spikes. I guess it's not trying to look Starfleet issue because that would be against this whole, rebel. But it's like he looks really weird like that. Like his every other time look is much better with slightly more, longer hair.
Yeah, it does look really odd.
Doesn't flatter him.
No. And this is where we get the whole let's fire an energy beam using our phasers at Farpoint Station. And then, of course, Groppler and the away team get sent back, and then jellyfish time reveal. Yay! But then's the energy beam. Oh, they fixed it. Never mind. You watched the remastered where it's actually coming out of the phaser strip. What the one I watched was the DVD. It came out of the captain's yacht.
Yay!
Yeah, the beam came out of the captain's yacht in the original release. They fixed it to phaser strips because I made a note of that. Fired from middle of saucer, not the phaser strips.
Yeah, they fixed it.
So,
Yeah, it's fine.
Good job.
I like that the creature beamed them over. I like that Q almost made them think that he did it, so because they don't know what he can do, that he almost fired upon him. I kind of like the tension built in this scene, although I don't like the fact that you keep cutting to them looking at the background. The view screen, because it's so blue screen, it doesn't quite work. It looks very, like, almost fan filmy as well. Kind of took me out of it. The jellyfish transformation is beautiful though. Like the cut is really good. It's really, really nice. And then obviously I think it holds up in terms of art design, although obviously it looks more like what it is. But I think it's really quite cool. I mean, it's alien, it's interesting, all the details you can see, the strands. I think it's pretty, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was really well done, actually. I really like I put yay for space jellyfish.
Yes.
That was my note.
Yeah, it's nice. So. It's nice. It's a little bit too long, but that's just because the episode's long. If it was a short episode, it'd feel fine. And obviously, you've got the jellyfishing holding hands.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Those are big ass hands as well, given the size of the ship. They're like, and did you notice that one's blue, one's pink?
Yeah, not in the original though. They were the same color. I was going to point that out though. So it's a male and female. Oh, so sweet.
Well, I didn't remember if it was a male. I thought it might have been like the son. I thought it might have been a kid originally, just based on some of the other dialogue. But yes, they're mates.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get Troi with her look of like satisfaction.
But again, it's like they killed everyone to get to this point. Why are you now really happy? I mean, why is she not sensing everyone being like screaming and Game of Thrones, but screaming in pain at the bottom? It's like, I sense joy. Lots of fucking pain on the planet, but joy up here. I mean, they murdered everyone to save. It's just like, I hate they ignore the planet. I hate it. It's very Discovery of them, you know? Who cares about Pavo? It doesn't exist anymore. It serves its purpose, no longer exists.
Who cares about Kaminar and the time vortex?
Wave, yeah, who cares? Makes no difference. Let's not take out the dialogue. Let's just do it anyway. And then Picard says basically F off Q. Q's like,
I'll be back. Or I might be back.
We'll see.
And then we'll see what's out there.
Engage. And one little note I had really far back, but the worst part about this bridge for me is that behind Captain Pike, Captain Picard is a blank white bit.
Blank. Yep.
It's awful. They should have known they were going to do close-ups. It looks terrible. It obviously gets better and better, but they should put. I know they do very quickly, but they need to put something there, like a scream at them, perfect, just something visual. It really stands
an MST
out.
of the ship.
Well, yeah, I just turn it like, oh, we're on fire, huh? D section, very interesting. No, it just really stands out as like a block of nothing when the ship is so well crafted. That stands out dramatically. And there you go, Farpoints Part 1 and 2. And it did it. And considering that was twice the length of a Discovery episode, or we still did it in about the same time. So I'm pretty proud of us, really.
Yeah. This was a really fun revisit of, and it's really cringy, this episode. I dare say that TOS, Where No Man Has Gone Before, was a better pilot.
Yeah.
Well,
the story was tighter. It had a better pace, a much better pace.
Yeah.
Yes.
But let us know your thoughts, guys. I'm going to rate this out of 1 out of 10, obviously.
Give us your full summary. Like, I want to hear the full bio summary, because it's the start of the franchise. Like, now we've gone through it all.
First viewing was fantastic. Everything was so new. Everything was so exciting. It was like, wow, this is Star Trek is back, and it's really cool. Watching it now, it's like, okay, I know this gets better at some point. It's just it's really poorly paced. The two stories don't mesh well together. They didn't do a good job of kind of coalescing these stories, and it just. And I'm on the last scene I'm on the last picture of the bridge, by the way, with them all sitting there, and Tasha's wearing a dress. She's not wearing her regular uniform, which is kind of a nice touch.
Oh yeah, cool. Huh. Weird.
I never noticed that before. I like that better personally, but anyway, so yeah, it was really kind of cringeworthy and boring for me to watch this all the way through again, knowing how much better this series gets, and just some of the weird character moments. Yeah, there's still the first episode. They're trying to find out what the characters are, but there's some missteps for sure. I don't think like this. Their Discovery episode's better than this.
But obviously they have a bigger budget, bigger forethought, better filming techniques, better cameras, better CGI. I mean, they've got everything going for them. So if they didn't, that'd be scary, you know?
Yeah. So overall, I mean, it's all right, but I would never sit down and rewatch this ever. Unless I have to, unless I'm rewatching the whole series again, which I do from time to time. But just to pick this one out specifically, I don't care to. It's just there's nothing really super great in it for me. Some of the introductions to the characters in the ship maybe are interesting, but overall as a story, it just missed the mark for me. It was too not only cringily written, but also very poorly paced, and it just lost my interest in quite a few spots. Editing some of the Discovery scenes together, not Discovery literally, but like finding out about the ship and the crew and stuff, editing all that together as one thing would be fantastic. Take out all the Farpoint stuff because I just don't care. It loses it for me. And there was a lot that didn't make sense. So I know and if you've watched our Discovery reviews, you know that I really skewed my rating systems at some point during the course of the season. Things started getting ranked higher and higher, and I
think
didn't
I might have mentioned that to you.
Yeah. And honestly, resetting everything, going from a new clean slate as far as a ranking system goes. This one for me is going to be a 3.5 out of 10.
Is that the TNG scale or all of Trek? Because they are different.
That is a TNG scale.
Okay.
All of Trek, maybe a 4.5 or a 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. 4 keeps popping into my mind. Is when I want to rank this one. So I'm picking 4. Fleet Pass Swiftback puts in $1.99. The scant LOL makes me think of cheerleaders, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, for me, I haven't watched this all the way through for years and years, never in high def, so it was a really good experience. I was surprised by how much good they definitely cast right for like Troi, but they didn't give anything really good to do, and Tasha, but everyone else is cast very, very well. Even Wesley, I think, nailed it for what he was given. Picard is great. Riker is great. Crusher is great. Data is great. Worf is great, given what he's been given. The sets are great. The script is not bad by any means, actually. It's actually very solid. It's just the pacing lets it down. Needs more. Well, it needs not 2 stories, but it needs to be refined, reshuffled, budget put in different places slightly. If you're going to do Farpoint, do it properly. If you can do Q, do it properly. They half-assed each, feel-wise. It should have been a simpler. Because I mean, think of the Farpoint premise. You've got space station on a planet. You've got other dude's city. You've got space people in you've got going around both a spaceship and tunnels, same set but in concept, and you've got the jellyfish at the end. That's a lot of stuff to be. If it was a simpler plot with more money put in clever ways, even like as simple as we found another Federation starship abandoned, something happened to it. Simple, easy, saving a crew, and you maybe like an Enterprise. Well, that would have been too much, but an Enterprise A that probably a lot. You reuse a movie sets. They're coming really cool to reuse and redress. But it all sort of didn't flesh out as well, and so the pacing lets it down But there's so much promise there,
Mm-hmm.
and good performances considering. Like I said, apart from Troi and Tasha, Q is great, but everything is a bit of a trim. They definitely, you can sense they were told to make it double the length, so they did. But that's it. It wasn't 2 stories worth. It wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
Like the Q stuff was a short story. Seriously, it was like a 15-minute short, 20-minute short. And the Farpoint thing is a stretch an episode. It wasn't enough of a plot.
Mm-hmm.
Put them together and you have now somehow an hour and a half. Somehow. I guess the crew stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, obviously it's a weak TNG, but the story itself is not bad. And the acting is not bad. And there isn't any truly cringe beyond the average cringe of poor pace.
The only cringe that I find in this is the fact that
Troi?
Well, I'd say the only cringe I find in this is the fact that I know where these characters end up, and to see them fumble at the start, knowing what the character is supposed to be, that's the cringe moments for me.
But which do you mean though? Be specific, because like I say, I think the Data right, Crusher right.
Everyone has some.
Yeah, but considering how much they get right out of the time they all have, I mean, Data's like at least 70% there. Picard's 60%.
Picard's not.
There.
Picard's not 70% there. He's all over the place in this one. It's like we don't know what to do with him. Is he stern? Is he friendly? Is he smiling? Is he a family man? Is he not a family man? It's like, wow, make up your mind, guys.
I guess I mean the in command stuff he's got nailed down. Like when he's commanding the crew, that's like Picard to a T. But then he does like these weird shifts. But that's just, I guess, a man doing a captain persona. That's just, what does Patrick Stewart bring to a captain?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as bad as some episodes of TNG. I just don't think it's very interesting.
There are worse episodes of TNG, which will be fun to look at.
I think I'll give it a 4 for TNG. Because there are some good nuggets. And a lot of good ideas. It's idea filled. It just needs a remaster. It needs a reshot. It needs a Star Trek TMP director's cut.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it really needs to make it better. Yeah. Favorite moment, Stuart? What's your favorite and least favorite moment? Because that's always a good side thing.
Favorite moment. That's tough. I really like I like the ship stuff, so I do like the saucer separation thing, even though it takes a little too long.
It's very redundant.
It's separated, yeah. It's separating at warp and kind of explaining that it's dangerous, and then you see the saucer lift off and the battle section fly around. I thought that was really cool. So I really like that. I have to think about my least favorite. So if you want to talk about your favorite, I'll think about my least favorite.
My favorite is just Picard in general. I just think for what it is, for where it is right now, Picard I think is my favorite bit of it. My least favorite is the Farpoint dude and his office. I mean, although I guess that slash the shitty corridor that's reused too many times, because that's just really great. And again, it's padding, walking down the same one room. It's not even a corridor. It's literally one room with a map painting on one end. It's not a corridor. It's a room.
Yeah.
That was too many. It really lets it down. Because you just padding. They threw stuff in.
Yeah. Well, one of my least favorite things then would have to be just Troi in general. This episode was not well done. And what you just said, the whole Groppler in his office and just the casting for that and the look,
it was so
subpar.
Generic. Like, if it was going to be something, be something. That's why I kind of like, and it's on the screen right now, the 2076 guards. They have a very distinct look. It's a bit weird, but it's a look. It's a feel, you know? It's something at least. But honestly, Farpoint is a weird one. And it's long, and we won't get that again, pretty much, until, like, Best of Both Worlds. There isn't very many two-parters, really. So we're not going to get that. And obviously those, for the most part, are all really well-paced. Because mostly they're, like, one story and then a second story. This is, like, one long story.
Yeah. And as we said, though, if you break this up into the 2 episodes it's supposed to be, the pacing and the way that things play out actually makes sense for episodic feel. But yeah, when you put them together, it just doesn't work. It loses it in some spots. So, but yeah, somebody had asked earlier if we're going to do the Naked Now soon, and yes, we actually have that scheduled already for our Thursday live, same time, 5 Eastern Standard Time. So that's Thursday, and tomorrow we're doing an extra bonus live talking about the new Picard series uniforms and having some visuals comparing them to some other costumes and stuff. So
because people are being very knee-jerk about that, and we are here to show you the details and information, because that's, I think, really important, and people need to appreciate the deeper stuff. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, Stuart. I enjoying the fresh Blu-ray on a 4K TV is a fun experience. And I think season 1 is underappreciated from TNG. I remember a few decent episodes. There are poor moments in them.
Oh, there's a few.
I think season 1 is underappreciated. Obviously, we're going to get the lowest points.
Yeah.
But those are just missteps from start to finish. Those aren't, you can't save that sort of episode, and we know when we're going to get to them.
I know some people that really love the first 2 or 3 seasons of TNG just because, especially season 1, because it does have that Gene Roddenberry feel to it. You can see his hands at work in this, and you compare it to TOS. So a lot of people really like that. And yeah, there are some really good moments. So some great moments, great episodes. It's almost 50-50 as far as good and bad, I think, in season 1.
We'll see.
So...
We'll see.
But we plan on looking at them all if we get the same numbers we had tonight, like 200 viewers, good super chats rolling in. So if we keep that up, we'll definitely be doing this because this is really fun to go back and rewatch these. So
yeah, and obviously Discovery was a great way of us talking to you guys on a weekly basis, and it really helped support the channel. And if we can replace it with the most prime Trek you can get, TNG, we really love to do that. And you guys, it really is. If you join us and watch, that'd be great. We'd love to get 300, 400, 500 people each time. Film a few more super chats would be great. Speaking of, if you guys want to maybe get 20 more bucks for the end of this live, 20, that's it. That'd be really, really helpful. Actually, I'd get us a nice round number. And like I say, Picard live tomorrow. Naked Now, I believe, is the next one. On Thursday. That'd be interesting as well. And hopefully this will go on for a while because there's some really good episodes, really good seasons, and we've never looked at them together ever. This is a good first reaction. Because some of them are pretty obvious, but it's nice to see where we have slight differentiation. Because most of the time you don't ever look at anything in this depth, and so it's really kind of refreshing to take a fresh look, and yet still have this very we're just friends in the pub approach, like we do for a lot of stuff. Chat about it, and yet be very detailed and very. You've got your reference back to when you were young. I've got I'm seeing the remasters for the first time. Some of it, so it's a very fresh perspective, and yet. Very just your friends chatting, and I've certainly learned something about this as well. So yay!
And Vincent Visions puts in $2 and says, "Gotta go, John Wick 3 with friends for more." Well, there will be more, and enjoy John Wick 3.
It's a good film. It's good. As I've said,
I haven't watched it yet.
Have you seen the first 2?
No. Even though my buddy Cliff says I have to watch them, which I will.
They're a good film. The third one has. One of the first fights in it is one of the best fights I've seen in the last decade, easily. Nice. Very, very good. Very creative, very interesting.
Cool.
But yeah, so I guess 18 more bucks. If you guys want to ask any questions, comments, thoughts, we'd love to hear them.
And what's your ranking, guys? What do you rank it out of 10?
Yeah. Guys, that's a great point.
Very important as far as TNG scale and just Star Trek scale.
Yeah, both are important because there is a good distinction there.
They're having a good conversation in the chat about out of all the guys on the ship, Tasha picks the machine, and then Robert Hayes says those rape gangs probably put Tasha off real men. Hey, probably.
Yep.
Jarza puts in $10 Canadian. Thank you very much. Here you go. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
So much appreciated. Yes,
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the Naked Now next.
Are you gonna do
on
Naked?
Thursday? That could have been a joke, but you went and screwed that up.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I'm looking forward to doing it. It'd be fun to get a new take on it. And like I said earlier, it's one with being episode 3, or right after the pilot. It immediately talks about the Enterprise, the original Enterprise crew, and their solution to their problem. It's like I remember a lot of heat was delivered at the time for that. people saying, "Oh, they're already losing ground. They already, using the original one to prop itself up. Can't stand on its own legs." It was used to attack this show because of all the people that hated it. This is not my Star Trek. This is not Kirk and Spock. There's a big argument about that back then. So I remember Naked Now was a real early, victory for those guys. Yeah, it's a real early victory for the haters. Like, oh, they can't do anything without mentioning the original Enterprise and Kirk. It's like, well, yeah, because they never really do that again.
It's. And that's just a whole weird context. Surely they would celebrate the reference, but it shouldn't have been episode 3. It shouldn't have been episode like 9 or 12 as a payoff.
No, I totally agree with that.
Right,
but you got to remember how much hate this had at the time. People didn't want this. A lot of people did not want this because it's not their Star Trek.
Well, that's the thing though. It's yes, but they need to watch. I mean, most people easily got over it because they watched it and enjoyed it. I mean, it's a damn good crew. It's a damn better ensemble cast than is TOS. I mean, you look at by a couple of seasons, Riker, not necessarily Troi ever, but Riker, Picard, Worf, Data. There's already more characters. You just got Spock, McCoy, and Kirk. You've already got more interesting characters than TOS had, and you're not even mentioning, I think they even say Crusher. I mean, you start going down the list, but really interesting cast. But I mean, peel one over. Every show takes time to get into, but they watched it and they got taken by it.
Yeah. Fleet Paw Swiftback puts in $4.99.
Yeah, thank you.
And says 4.5 for TNG.
Okay.
And I have to give it a 6 for Trek because it got it back to TV after a long hiatus. That's kind of where my ranking system was. That's pretty much exactly what I said, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think because of its space in the legacy that's a fair thing. I'd rather judge it based on all the episodes. Because obviously, if you judge it at the time, I mean, they knew it wasn't the best pilot. Like, I know Maria said it's not the best episode. Like, we weren't that proud of it. But I mean, at the time, it looked great, sounded great visual effects, great acting. Like, obviously, at the time, it was a really high score. But that's not fair because if you watch a silent movie at the time, it was a 10 out of 10. I mean, okay, good. I mean, you understand it's important at the time, but also you still need to enjoy it as a piece. And that's why TOS is amazing. It stands up so well even today because the stories are so good, the acting is so good, and the script is so good. That show is one of the few that stands out so strongly to the past.
Well, Steve Martino puts in $2 and says Pacific 201 Daedalus episode. Have we done one on the Daedalus from
not the Daedalus? I think.
Yeah, we've done the NX version. We've done a few different things.
Yes,
with Eric Henry himself, yeah. But we haven't done the Daedalus yet, so that'll be something that is a possibility. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, with him, I know that he's still finalising design, so when he's finalised, we'll get on that. And someone said, D. Donaldson said, TNG would not have grown to the Fantastic series it become if Picard had not voiced their dislike for season 1. Yeah, without people saying what was wrong with it, they wouldn't improve it. If Picard just accepted what they got, it might have stayed on a staggered course for years. Discovery got better because we complained. Because it was wrong.
And
at least the real things we had to complain about, not just because there's reasons, there's real problems,
Yeah, and people did complain. You're right, and they did make changes, and they did course corrections like Discovery's done, and everybody says season 3, season 4, that's where TNG hits its stride. So we got to give at least Discovery that amount of time to kind of see how they course correct. We'll see.
I mean, it's a bit sad you have to waste 160 million to course correct when you're meant to make a good season the first time round, but whatever.
When you could have just done it right from the beginning by listening to fans and caring and knowing enough about the material to.
Yes.
Anyway,
and just having good
Blade Runner,
because that's important.
Blade Runner puts in $5. What do you think about the title in general? Sounds natural now, but there were several generations between. Great show, hoping for more. I remember the name being contentious at the time too. People were like, "Oh, the Next Generation sounds so, cheap."
Okay.
It just makes perfect sense now. But yeah, you're right. There's a few generations in there. I don't know. I think it's fine.
It works better as a meta the next generation of show. That's what it is. It doesn't necessarily work in the context of itself, but it works as a nature of the beast sort of thing. And Exus Zero Rex is a wonderful comment. Arium from Discovery was the Yar of Next Gen. Very little backstory, then killed despite appearing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Arium
And no rape gangs.
No, but death. Basically, death once. One got raped heavily, and one got destroyed or massively killed in a shuttle crash.
Shuttle.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's good for tonight. I got a lot of good super chats and a lot of good interaction, and it was really fun. I really appreciate everybody that showed up for this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and want more. Like I said, there will be more on Thursday. But also tune in tomorrow if you're interested in the new Picard series. We're going to talk about the uniforms. So we got a live tomorrow and Thursday, and that's going to be a good week.
Yes.
So everybody brush up on your TNG. Watch the Naked Now between now and Thursday so you can follow along with us. And Eugene just put in 750 rubles. Gives it a 5 out of 10. Not the best of season 1, not the worst. I agree with that.
Yep.
I'd like to use the opportunity to recommend HBO's Chernobyl. There are some artistic freedoms, some HBO moments, but it is well-built, genuine drama horror. Good to know.
Cool.
If anybody wants to check it out, check it out. I will think about that. I got so many other things I need to watch first. Sorry.
Like TNG, but that'll be later on. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow and like I said, Thursday. Thanks for joining us for the start of our TNG era. We are next generating our own thing, and see you next time. Until then, I am Commander Coggins.
He is, and I'm Captain Foley.
And this is TNG. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.